Sick.
So how's the fundraiser going?
It is like incredible, like crazy. I set up a very mild 1K. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I think we can hit that.
Yeah.
I think the audience size is like big enough, and everyone here is wholesome, likes Palestine. Cool. We can raise up a nice small like 1K, and we're like at like 7.5 or something crazy. Like I'm
What?
kind of like in awe.
7,500?
Yeah. So
Okay, my chat, you guys need to step it up. Like,
true.
you need to fucking step it up. I started off with 300. I was like, if we hit 300, I'm very happy. Because I've like never done these fundraisers before and stuff, so I have no clue what we could raise. And I also have like a lot of Israelis watching, and I wasn't sure if there would be like a lot of politics associated, but oh my god, like the donos, like we already hit 1,000, so it's been going great. So I'm very happy.
I don't know, it's always crazy to like. I remember we had watched this documentary in like the movie on one of our movie nights, and I was crying, and I was like bawling at the documentary, and I was like, I wish I could like do something. And I was like, oh wait, I have myself and a bunch of people and a community that wants to help for this cause, and we can all collectively add to this cause and stuff, and that'd be fucking great.
It's honestly, it's the best part about having a platform, like that you actually suddenly feel kind of powerful, like in some ways, like you could actually do something. Like when your friend's struggling with something, you're like, okay, I can just raise money like for your HRT or something. Like it's so cool to be able to do that. Like
yeah. Also, I just want to let my chat know, I'm going to turn off the notifications for the audio, and I can go over all the alerts afterwards because I don't want to get sidetracked with anything. So we're good to go now on the interview.
My audience is used to me ignoring them in chat, so it's all good.
Well, I mean, I think during an interview, it's really hard to not do so, because you're basically putting, especially if you booked a guest that was like hard for them to make it, and then during like half the interview, you're like ignoring them, and you're just like, oh, sorry, my chat is more important than you. You know what I mean? I know you made 2 hours of your time, but that stuff feels so awkward, especially if like. I always don't know what to do if you get like a really big raid, because you don't want to like ignore the person who just raided you. Yeah.
But
I wanted to tell you, if I ever raid into you and you're in the middle of an interview, you don't have to acknowledge it. Don't worry. I know that you have like, you're focusing on the interview, so I'm never gonna be like, wow, look at this. She didn't even acknowledge the raid. No. You do what you have to do. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you. That's very sweet of you to say, because I have a bit of social anxiety with this stuff. I literally watched like a whole 20-minute video on like Twitch streamer etiquette, just to know like how the correct way to interact.
It's been such a long time. Oh god, I remember when I looked into this stuff. Yeah, because there's also a lot of like misinformation on that stuff as well. Like some people are like, oh, you should do this, and then other people are like, no, you shouldn't do that. And it's like, okay, I don't, you know. So
yeah, there's this one thing that people say, I guess a lot, where I guess like people come into a chat, or when you're a small streamer, a lot of small streamers will do this, where they'll be like, oh, like I actually, like I'd be thinking of doing that for my stream, or apparently just mentioning anything about your stream. It's like, no, like you're not doing that. You basically committed a genocide. It's like very bad, you know?
Well, yeah, because I think it can be very annoying for like this streamer. If you like, some other people come in and they're like, I just finished watching this stream. It's so great. Yeah, that stream is so great. And it's like, you're really trying hard to focus on your content. I get this way a little bit when like, and I know the thing is, it's really hard for me to get upset because I know that the chatters, their intention is never to like derail the stream. It's just that they want to share something that they love with more people. And so like, I will have to put like limits sometimes where I'm like, I know you guys like this person, but like, okay, we already did the stuff here. So like, I want to talk about other things. And sometimes setting that limit can be hard. And also I'm very weak to my own chat. So
yeah, I feel like we all are. It's like the,
yeah.
Is this like, so can you tell me about like the story of how you got started streaming and everything? Because I don't think I was around at that point.
No, it's like, I feel like ancient at this point. I had moved out of my family's place, and I had moved in with my now ex to different state, and I wasn't in school because I like had failed my classes because I was super stressed, and I had like I like applied to jobs, and then I quickly realized, oh, I don't have like a car. I can't go to any of these jobs. Even if I got accepted somehow, I can't make this commute, right? And I like spent like the first like month after I'd moved just basically playing video games. And then at a certain point, this was in like 2018. This was like late 2018. And at a certain point, I remember I just felt so depressed one morning. I like woke up super depressed and I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? Oh my God. And I just like, I realized that like literally all I would do is like wake up, play games and do nothing else, which wouldn't be a problem if like that was where my income was, or like I was taking a break from something and I was going to go back to it. I just like was doing nothing and I had no plans to do anything. And I remembered like a friend of mine in high school had talked about how she started streaming, and she just streams to like a small audience and she doesn't really do it to be a career. She does it for fun. And I was like, okay, maybe like this is what I need. I just need something different. So like I set up my stream. I got like this, like the original really small, like the C922 webcam or whatever. And I had like a blue snowball and I just started streaming and I didn't know what I was doing. I did like gaming streams and I didn't really like that when I was starting out. I did art streams for a really long time and it was just not really.
So you didn't start doing politics like it was?
No. I didn't even know you could talk about politics on Twitch. And then I found people talking about politics and I realized, I was like, wait, I can just get on and talk about politics? Because I thought politics were taboo on Twitch. And I have liked politics and talked about politics and been involved in politics for like years before, since like early high school or whatever. It's been interesting or whatever to think about and talk about and stuff that actually impacts your life. And so I was like, oh, fucking sick. I can like move to politics. And I remember a lot of people, like I only had like 20, 30 people back then. And I like lost like half of them. So like 15 people, cause they were like, no, I don't like politics. So I did like on and off streaming. Like the streaming was really hard back then because it felt like work. And that relationship that I was in, it was like very suffocating because we just were both home all the time and we didn't mesh well at all, basically. And so like it was not great and I didn't have good schedules. And I had moved to Florida and Florida has like these like storms which would like take down the internet for like a week. And so like I couldn't maintain a stream schedule because...
Oh yeah, that's a disaster for a streamer.
Yeah, and then like I wasn't on like the lease or on the like any of the utility bills, so I couldn't call them to like the utility people to come and check out our like router and shit like that, and because they usually just came to like the nearby box and just like fudged with stuff until it worked. And so I would wait for like my partner to call them, and you know they were very lazy and they wouldn't call them for weeks, so like I couldn't maintain like a stream schedule at all. And I would go like days or weeks sometimes without streaming, and by the time it was back working again, I was like, I don't even want to stream. It's like very depressing to like be forced to not stream when you want to. And then when you have to come back, it feels like you're starting over almost. Eventually after like half a year of doing that, I decided I didn't want to be, actually I don't remember if I did it for a little bit longer. I think I only did it for like half a year. I decided that relationship was cringe and not based, so I moved back home. And I can't stream at my house. Is this answer too long-winded?
No, these are all about listening to you talk. Yeah, if you ever take too long or something, like I'll always just interject. Don't worry. Okay,
cool. And so I took like a couple months off of streaming, or like sort of out of necessity, because I was just like, I wanted to finish my degree. So I applied for school and I was working on school and I couldn't stream at home. My parents live in like a small New York apartment, and so there is just not enough space for all of us, so I would have to stream in a shared space, and that was not happening. I tried it for a little bit. It was just like, hey, no one is allowed to make sound for 5 hours, and that's really difficult to ask of other people. So I stopped doing that, even though like my family wanted me to. I eventually also like was like, it felt like work, and like the idea of people like listening in on what I'm streaming is very like, it like with my psyche, and it makes me feel like I can't. Yeah, so like I feel like I can't talk about certain things. Like exactly. And so eventually I moved out. I moved to California, like I think at this point 6 months ago. And as soon as I moved, I started streaming again because I started really getting excited about being able to stream again, because I would finally have my own space and I can decorate it the way I want, and I can set up all the things that I wanted to do before that I couldn't. So like I never could like justify buying an expensive mic because I wasn't really doing it seriously. I couldn't justify buying like really like semi-nice lights because I wasn't doing it seriously, and I didn't have the space for it either. So being able to like stream right now has like been one of the most satisfying things because I get to talk about what I want to talk about. I do what I want to do. Like in my free time, I will like watch YouTube videos about politics anyways, and now I just get to do it with a bunch of other people who also want to do that. And I get to have my schedule that I can keep that no one interrupts, because like before, my partner would interrupt me on my stream schedule and be like, oh, you shouldn't stream today, or like it doesn't matter if you don't keep your schedule or whatever, or like we were gonna do this. And I don't have like my family doing that either, so it's just I get to like just do what I want to do when I want to do it, and it's been really great. So yeah,
Did you well, you're also like now one of the most successful politics streamers, especially one of the most politics like female streamers. So like, did you expect to achieve that kind of level of success? You can say yes. I won't think you're like, well,
no. I was gonna say no because like when I was streaming before, it was really hard for me to even get like 100 viewers. Like I remember when I was streaming, like I think in like 2019. Like I started politics in like early 2019, and back then it was really hard. I don't even think I applied for partner back then before I took my hiatus, and I had like just barely the 75 minimum, and they like denied me I think like twice or something like that, and it was really hard. So I wasn't expecting this at all. Like I expected maybe to get like 100 or something back to where I was kind of, and then be like, cool, we got it, we did it. So this was kind of unexpected.
Well, yeah, you're considered like one of like the champs, I guess, like in this politics.
It's so weird to think about.
Yeah, like I that's why like I was like when I got the interview with you, I was like, yes, score. So like, did you grow, I guess, slowly and organically, or was there kind of like did you have like a big moment that just suddenly, boom, you grew like really fast?
There were like 2 or 3 things that like really helped. So when I had moved, I had like, because I still had my Discord and stuff, and I announced it, and I still had like my 1K Twitter, and I announced that I was going to start back again, and I got like I think like 30 viewers on my first stream back, which was really cool. Like that's like
yeah.
After having taken like I think I took like a year off from streaming, like literally I think it's like on the dot like a year, and I came back, and like there were so many people that were like. For me, like seeing those 30 people was like one of the most incredible feelings because I was expecting like 5, right? And I hung out with IRI, which is like a good friend of mine who I've been friends with for I guess years now technically, and we hung out, and a lot of his like viewers who used to also watch me as well as him back in the day were like, oh, I didn't know you started streaming again, and we had hung out and did like an IRL stream together, and that like really helped me, and then I think after that there was I went on one of the hippie dippies. I went on the hippie dippy that had I think Mike and Vosh on it, and I think I like went from like the like 60 I was at like to like 100 or something like that, or like 200 or something like that. And then I think I spoke one more time with Vosh about like socialism or something, and I was just telling him like, oh, like what do you think is like the answer to like this problem that like people who are capitalists bring up. And it was a very interesting conversation. I had a good time. I was also expecting, I don't know why I was expecting him to be like way meaner, or I was expecting his chat to be way meaner, but everyone was really nice.
Yeah,
and
I'd heard such bad things about him, so I was kind of shocked when
I
had a really good experience too. So I was like, what?
Well, I always just assume that like anyone who's at a certain like size, like might, like I always think that like there is a possibility this person has like an inflated ego and like thinks that they're better. And I like that is like logically that would make sense, right? That like you have, and you see this with certain people, right? People who have like a very big community or audience will sometimes have like inflated egos and think that they're better than other people. And so I wasn't sure if that was going to be the case with Vosh or not, but he's actually pretty chill and cool, and he seems to like talk to other people who he knows are smaller than him for literally the purpose of like, well, I want to help those people, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool because he doesn't get much out of it other than like maybe a fun conversation. And so I think after that one I got like a couple hundred more followers, and I was just like, whoa, cool. And like I think a lot of people, I had like a lot of people coming in and being like, hey, I found you from like that one conversation with Vosh, and it's like, cool. So I think those were the things that I'm sure your story is probably very similar with like you spoke to like a couple big content creators, and some people in their audience were like, I want to watch the VTuber. That's who I want to watch.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, who the fuck are those people? Like, weirdos. But I don't know, like, but I was kind of stupid because the first stream I did with Vosh, it was before I was even streaming. I was just trying to advertise my Discord server, because I did things the opposite way most streamers do. Like, I started a Discord server and I had that community, and then I went into streaming. So I was just kind of like trying to advertise CC. So I guess I brought lots of those people into CC, but they just naturally, that and CC people kind of followed me into streaming. So I got to kind of skip the line, I guess, that most streamers go through. Especially, I think, like, your first 10 viewers I've heard are like the hardest thing to get.
They are like genuinely the hardest. It's it's very difficult to like explain, I think, how when you're starting, it's like a completely different atmosphere, and like you have to like streaming at a smaller audience is completely different from having an audience. It's just not even close. When you're really, really small, it not only is content harder, but like just like having the drive and continuing to go on is really difficult. So like I feel like right now where I'm at, streaming is just fun for me. Like that's it. Sometimes it'll feel like work when I have to wake up at 5 a.m. and I don't want to wake up. Or sometimes there are certain days where I'm just really tired and I don't want to stream for 5 hours, and I'm just like, no, I should. I promise the people. But like in the beginning, like you have to find all the content yourself. You know, you don't get to just ask people, what do you guys want to watch? What do you guys want me to go over? Right? Yeah. You have to find all this stuff yourself. And when you're like starting out, you don't have like chat to like send you messages and stuff, and you have to rely entirely on yourself. And that's really hard. It's really hard. The first like 10, it's difficult.
Was there a part of you that felt like, I don't know, and I don't know if you've gotten hate. I do know you've gotten some hate about this, but was there a part of you that was kind of like insecure just being like, I guess, like a woman online, and the idea that like all your achievements are just going to be completely attributed to your appearance? Because I definitely know that's been an insecurity of mine when I used to be on camera.
Yeah, I know that I've seen, or I've gotten messages from like women who've been like, hey, I'm really happy with the fact that you do politics online and stuff, because it makes me want to stream. And I've had a couple people who've said that they've started streaming because they saw my channel, which is so weird, because it feels like I don't know how to say it, but like it feels like I haven't done enough to deserve that, but I've gotten these much attention and it makes me feel so good, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, like I think it has to do with like our brains they want to believe that there's a cost for something, that someone gets a benefit at someone else's loss. But like that's the fact that like I get to be happy that I've made someone else excited to do something, and someone else saw me doing something and then they got happy about that, is like a crazy concept that we both just get to have fun and enjoy ourselves and stuff. I think so. In my head, I know how much work I put in, and I know what I've done for the stream, and I have in my head constantly like a rotating amount of things that I have to do, that I want to do, that I think will either improve like my stream, or will improve like my YouTube, or just improve my content in general. And I know how much time I put in, and most of the people in my audience, they also know. So I don't feel any of like imposter syndrome that like all of my achievements are just because I'm a femoid online. But I always worry that like other people think that, and like I try not to think about it, because like those people's thoughts are worthless, and they're probably incels online who don't talk to women and don't understand that women don't just walk down the street and like people hand them money. They just don't understand that. And they don't understand that like how much women sacrifice for other people. And I'm trying not to use too much of like gendered language. I don't want to say like sacrifice for men, but like I've spoken to so many women who've been in like relationships with men, and they've done so much, like literally so much. I don't know if you've had like this experience as well, but like I've known women who've like financially, emotionally, like psychologically, every single way you can imagine, have supported their partners for years, with like basically nothing in return until like one day they're just like, I'm just like, I just have adopted like an adult. I just adopted an adult in my household. I think Irrelevant has actually talked about this. I don't know if you know who Irrelevant is.
Yeah, I do.
And he said that like he's moved in with his like girlfriend or whatever, and she like pays for like, she is like the breadwinner, and she pays for almost everything or something, or like most of the rent or something like that. And like before he was in a relationship with her, he still sort of just like a little bit believed in like the like hypergamy women thing. And I think that the like there's a lot of people who believe in this, or like rather there's a lot of men who unironically think that like women are just like this, and like if you find someone who isn't like this, it was like you weren't expecting that or something, right? It's the outlier, but it's always the other way around. There are like, I think I've met literally like one who has been like hypergamous, right? Who unironically is like, I just don't want anyone who doesn't make money. And literally every other chick I know is just like, I don't mind financially supporting someone as long as they have like goals and like actually want to do things in life. That's all I care about. I just don't want someone who's like kind of like has no motivation and is like draining my motivation. And so the same people who say like, oh, well, like all of your achievements are only because you're a woman. Those are people who don't understand and just haven't spoken to women and don't understand that like women gain their achievements. There are very few women who don't gain their achievements, and those women who don't gain their achievements are probably the same amount of men that don't earn their achievements, that get them through like nepotism or like from artificial qualities. And it's just like, I don't care about your opinion if you think that this is something that only women receive online.
Yeah, and there are benefits of being like, I guess, like a hot girl or being seen as attractive, but there are also negatives, right? Like a lot of people, and so it's like, I feel like it kind of often evens out the, I guess it would depend on everyone in their own situation, but like so often people will just assume that, say, like, you know, an attractive person or like a girl that's putting any effort in her appearance or something, that she's automatically unintelligent, or she's not well read, or she's not a complex person, like she's a quote unquote like basic. But I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on your show.
No. Yo, you could say whatever you want. Just no slurs, please. Which I don't think that you use.
No,
so.
Yeah, I would not do that. But yeah, so like that's just in general like a problem, and so yeah, you'll definitely like get some benefits or like of that. Some people will like, you know, watch and stuff, but then a lot of times people just won't take the stuff that you say seriously, and just because of that. Or a really, really common one that I've experienced, and I want to see if you've experienced it too, is like people just like attributing you or any of the opinions you have to the men that are around you. Like that's that's been something like people have just grouped me, for example, all the time with Doobie. Like, and I don't know if you've heard of him, and he's not even a streamer. He runs the politics Discord server. Very controversial figure, says a lot of really dumb things a lot, but he's a good friend of mine. And because of that, like so often, especially when I first joined the streamer world, like so often people were just immediately dismissing me or canceling me just because they assume that all my opinions were like the exact same as him.
Have you heard of, you know, Shoe on Head, right?
Yeah.
I think she is like the perfect example of this. Her opinions, all of her opinions were attributed to Armored Skeptic, who's someone that she had dated for like a couple years or something. And then as soon as she broke up with him, now for some reason, all of her ideas, according to these people, can be attributed to Vosh exclusively. And it's like, why do you think this? Like, this is like, you know, I understand like being like, oh, well, like Vosh definitely influenced like how much her opinions or like how far left her opinions are now. Of course, sure. But you don't think any other content creators, if she saw any other content creators' videos and changed her mind on any of those things as well, you think the only reason she was a skeptic was because of Armored Skeptic? Like, it's just very cringe. I haven't really dealt with this myself. I don't think I've had any of my, I mean, I've seen a couple people like really rarely, but these are like deranged people. And I don't use this term lightly, but like people who like will like be in my DMs, like saying crazy ass shit. So like, I don't really, you have to, I think it's very important that like you separate the opinions of people that are valuable and that are worth looking at, and the opinions of people who are just not worth looking at. Because if you try and like judge yourself based on those people's opinions, you are not judging yourself based off of good faith interpretations of you. And so those criticisms are not valid. And so like I've had like those people who like, you know, like think all of everything I've gotten is just because I'm a woman, so their opinions are automatically invalid. Say shit like, oh, like you're calling yourself a socialist now because like Vosh calls himself a socialist or something, and it's like, you're just like wrong. Like, first of all, I don't even call myself a socialist, so you're just wrong about that. But I don't think I've had anyone attribute my thoughts specifically to one person who actually, I think I value their criticism, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. You mentioned earlier, you kind of touched on like your relationship earlier, and it seemed like the way you're speaking, you're not in that relationship anymore, right?
No.
Could you kind of like, and please, like if I ask you anything that makes you uncomfortable, you can always just say, let's move on, right?
Yeah, sure.
But could you tell me a bit about like that relationship, and I guess like how it started and how it ended?
Yeah, sure. I don't mind talking about it. Basically, I was playing Overwatch, and then I met someone online, and we were vibing.
You met someone in Overwatch?
Yeah. Okay.
That's like, whenever I've met someone in Overwatch, it was bad. So it turned out bad.
I've met a lot of cool people on Overwatch, okay? However, I met someone on Overwatch, we were vibing and stuff. We were in like this party, like this 6-man party. The group fell apart. That group was like, actually like all of it was a mess. There was like one dude who like, he like left the group because he was mad because other people were like happily dating or some shit like that. And like there was this one chick in there who just like, and then there was one dude who was always feeding. It was just a mess. That group was a mess. It was fun while it lasted, okay? Anyways, I met someone there. We hung out. We continued to talk. We talked a lot about like philosophy and politics, which is why I was interested, because I think this is also
like on.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was like pretty tired of living with my family, because it's very small quarters with my family, and my my family's very religious, so we don't get along on a couple of topics and stuff, which is very frustrating. So yeah, but I ended up moving out because I felt so suffocated by like my family and by work, because I was working a job that I fucking hated, and by school that I was just like failing, and I wanted to just get away from everything. So I sort of just like ran away to this like relationship that I didn't know was bad, or like, and I don't want to say bad, it was just like very bland. Like there was just nothing there for me. I don't know how else to describe it, but like it was just like a relationship where both of us did nothing, and neither of us, well, I tried very hard, or I felt like I tried, but he didn't really seem motivated to want to do anything with his life. And that was like, I mean, like I dealt with it for like 2 years, and after a certain point of time, I was just like, well, I want someone who wants to do things and who wants to be motivated to like go to school, or who wants to be motivated to like get a nice house or something, or be motivated to like do anything other than play video games all day, essentially. And so like that was really frustrating for me, because I like to do things, and I get very like depressed, and I'm using depressed a little bit lightly here, so I should tread lightly, but like I will just be absolutely like just mentally distraught if I have nothing. So if I don't have school or work or like streaming or anything, I don't have to have a routine. I just have to have things that I can do. I just can't handle that. And like he was someone who could just literally play games all day.
How did he have money, like to have a house?
Well, it was somewhere in between. I don't know how much of this, because like, I mean, technically I never mentioned any of his personal information, so none of this should be technically doxing or whatever. But like he had, I think, like an accident when he was younger, and he got like compensated for it, and so he sort of took that, put it into like some, what is it, like a 20-year or like 10, or actually like a 10-year bond. I don't remember if it was a bond or it was in a portfolio. And so he's just been getting like cash payments from that, and that was basically it. And he like said that he did trading for a little bit, so I'm sure that added to it a little bit as well. But he was insistent that like he was better than like low wage jobs, I guess, and like low skill labor or whatever. And so like he didn't want to work anything other than working like a nice job, right? But he also didn't put any effort into trying to get that nice job.
Yep. That Yeah, that sounds like someone that I dated before too.
Mhm.
I just told my my chat about a certain story. Yeah, so that he thought that he was like, I guess, like too good for the job. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of people could fall into that, those categories. So financially, I guess you guys were kind of like taken care of, like living together, and that was fine. I'm guessing. So it was much more about like the fact that he was just playing video games.
Well, yeah. I mean, and then there was also like there was a limited amount of like money, right? Like it's not like I paid for all of my expenses myself off of streaming back then. So he didn't even pay for anything that was mine ever.
Oh, okay.
He was just paying for his own expenses. I paid for my phone bill, I paid for my food, I paid for like everything that was mine, I paid for it. And so eventually like the amount of money, he didn't get like millions of dollars. Like there's a limited amount of money, you can't live off of it forever. And so it's like, where is like the long-term planning, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect will happen eventually, right? And like, that was really frustrating. So.
Yeah, so I think that probably made you realize that this wasn't like a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and like,
totally makes
like,
sense.
I'm sure you've experienced this before. I think every woman has experienced this before. Probably plenty of men as well. But like, just like a lack of like willingness to talk about things, right? Just like, hey, like you did this thing that frustrated me. Can we talk about it? Yeah, we can talk about it later. Or like, well, I don't want to talk about it right now. Or like, this is really stressful to me. And it's like, okay, well, we'll talk about it later. And like later never comes, no matter how many times you bring it up afterwards. It just never comes.
The constant procrastination. Did you think that like, do you think it would have been like the same with him if it had not been video games, but it had been like something else he was doing? Like, I don't know, like being addicted to like playing to bowling or something. I don't know, like something else that's not that people get, or like some other kind of like, I guess, addiction. I don't know if what you would call what he did was an addiction, but do you think it was like specifically about video games?
I don't think it mattered that it was about video games, because I think even if like he was addicted to like, okay, so there's I want to say yes and no. So I think that there's a specific atmosphere online and in like Discord servers that like make you want to spend all of your time online, right? Yeah. And spending all of your time online is very bad, unless you are like really like in the hospital or you just can't go outside for whatever reason. If you can, you should go outside, right? And I know this is gonna sound very like touch grass or whatever, but I promise, like even like I've had like vacation trips or whatever that I've gone places, and I didn't really have fun, or like I've done things, or like I've went to like restaurants with friends, and like I didn't really have that much fun doing that. But like usually there's like some saving grace there, and almost certainly, no matter what, after every single trip I've had, or every outing or whatever, I always like come back home and I'm like, oh, what was the alternative? Sitting at my desk for four days straight, doing nothing, like just playing games or something, and then like afterwards, like I'm gonna be able to remember the memory, or like I have like pictures of like the memory of like going out with like friends to get Korean barbecue, or like meeting someone new, or like making new friends. I'll keep those memories. The memories of like getting like a triple kill and like Here's the Storm, that's not really that important. I'm not gonna like look back on my life and be like, oh, that was one of the best moments of my life when I like got that sick quadra. Exactly. And I think that's one of the more important things, that like you remember that like, yeah, you might not enjoy your time, but it's going to be more memorable than like the 6th game of League that you play.
Yeah. No, I've talked before on my channel about like I went through a full addiction to Elder Scrolls Online for 2 years. Like, and when I say addiction, I mean like it ruined my life, like to the level that it would ruin someone who was like addicted to like heroin or something.
Don't worry, I understand.
Yeah, and it was exactly like that. And you're also in a culture online. Back then it was, I think, TeamSpeak, but you're also like within a culture that is, you know, everyone else is incentivizing you to be staying online all the time. And you get kind of punished for doing things in real life. Like I mean, socially, you're not a part of a raid or something like that, right?
There's a big like amount of FOMO that you have, right? Unlike it's like, oh, what if I miss the sick raid? And then we get so much sick loot, without like realizing that it's like, it doesn't matter or whatever. Like that one raid probably doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Um,
I started to
so
feel like my game was my real life, and
yes,
everything outside of the game is the fake life, right? So anything I'm doing outside feels like a waste of time.
yes,
And that would include the people in my life, right? So like, I was dating someone at the time, and he was fucking like he was like, what is going on? Like, like my girlfriend's gone totally insane. So and on top of that, like I would become, because I saw him as like taking me out of the game, right? Because he's in the outside life. I would become like really irritable, right?
yeah,
And so I wonder if your ex was kind of like the same, that like
probably.
he would be kind of like irritable with you, like because you were pulling him out of that sometimes.
I think almost certainly. Because I was addicted to Blade and Soul for like a good amount of time. It took me failing my classes to realize that I was okay. It was not good. I was like, treasure trove would come around and I'm like, it's swiping time, and like just like I have like an exam tomorrow. I don't care. Like it doesn't matter. I have responsibilities to get to. It doesn't fucking matter. And I think after that, I like realized I was like, this isn't good. I shouldn't do this. But I assume like the problem was that he didn't have this realization because there was nothing immediate that like took him out of it. But I understand like the feeling of being irritated because like, well, this is more important. Whatever you have to do or say or whatever, I promise this is more important, without realizing that like, no, it's not, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it, like it's just subtly like eats away at you, and it'll eat away at the things. And I don't want to say like not. And this isn't against like all video games or anything. I still game. It's just like there are just some games that require, and there's some kind of like social cultures that require like, you guys, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, like that just require like that full dedication. So it's always a good idea to be in, I think, social circles where it's not like that. But anyway, so like, what about so was that like the main reason that you like, and you were the one that ended that relationship, right?
It was like,
or kind of mutual?
It was a little bit like, so actually the appropriate words to use here was, he was frustrated because so when we had entered the relationship, I basically told him like, I don't really want something monogamous. I'm not really interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, cool, me either. And I'm like, okay, great. And then like a bit of time into the relationship, he was like, actually, I don't want you to see men. I don't care if you see women. I just don't want you to see men. And so it felt like whiplash, where I was just like,
yeah,
I didn't agree to this, right? Like, well, and I was like, well, that doesn't work for me, right? You can see anyone you want. I don't understand why you're limiting me or whatever. And I mean, like, obviously he's doing it because it's uncomfortable for him, and that's fine. You are allowed to set whatever limits you want. But instead of telling me like, this is a limit that I don't want, like, that's something that's not for me. He just like kept saying like, okay, I'm going to change my mind. Like eventually, like I'm going to change my mind. And he just never did. And I was just like, hey, like all of these things piling up, like you seemingly not wanting to do anything other than play games, you refusing to have a conversation about anything, you refusing to go with me to like the gym, because at that time I really wanted to like work out and get really swole, and I currently still do. And like he's just like a complete lack of willingness to want to do anything. Plus like for me, like I want to seek what is it called, experiences with other people, and it's more of just like, why not, right? Like these are experiences you can have with other people that are just fun for everybody, right? And so like not only are you limiting all of the things that I can do in terms of like within this relationship, but also outside of it. And it's fine to set that limit. I'm not like talking shit on monogamy. Like if that's a limit you want to set, that's fine. But you can't lie to someone and tell them like that, like that's not how you feel, and then like say that it is, and then say that it's not, and keep going back and forth. Like that's not okay. Yeah. And so after I had like had this conversation, like I had the conversation where I was like, well, like I don't want this. He got really mad about it, and so he was like, okay, well then like we should just break up. And he was like, okay, we're just breaking up. And then like after that, I was really sad about it. And then I was like, okay. Like a day later, I was like, okay, it's chill, it's cool. This is probably for the best, because I'm not even happy. And then he was like, okay, actually I take it back. And I was like, okay, no take backs. And for like, I think like 2 weeks while I was waiting to move out, to get my flight and stuff. Because I like booked a flight 2 weeks later, so I'm not paying like hundreds of dollars for a flight tomorrow. He like that entire time was like, okay, I can convince you to want to stay back in this relationship. I'm gonna convince you. And I was like, you're not. I'm sorry. Like, and those 2 weeks were like actually the worst 2 weeks. Some of the worst weeks I've ever had. Like, maybe not the worst weeks, but like,
because you're basically living with your ex, like.
Yeah. And like an ex who is trying to actively like win you over, and then when it doesn't work, they like freak out about it. And it's like, yeah.
Was there a part of you that thinks that when he did that initial breakup, that it was like, it wasn't a real offer to break up because of how quickly he changed his mind? It was kind of like a tactic.
I didn't feel like it was a tactic. I think he genuinely felt that way. I think he felt just like really upset, and he felt like, I can't. I don't want to do this anymore. And I think that he was really stressed about it because I think he realized he was agreeing to something that he didn't want to agree to from the beginning, instead of just telling me that this wasn't something for him. And so I think he was really upset. And then afterwards he realized that like, I guess maybe that he would just rather pretend like he was going to change his mind than actually admit to it, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of guys tend to do that, and it's one of the negatives of like the way we treat like men's emotions and stuff. We keep telling men that like they can overcome their emotions if they just like lock them away, and I wonder if like that's what he was doing, where he was like convincing. So I mean, I don't know him, I've never met him, so this is just me being an armchair psychologist. But I wonder if he was just like locking down like those emotions of the fact that he wasn't really comfortable with the monogamous thing, but he wanted to be the type of person he was.
And I think that was what it was. I think it was like, that's what he wanted, because it doesn't bother me, and I think on some level maybe he also wanted it to not bother him. And I think that I know that he wasn't, but I think he wanted to be, and that was what, like, at any point if he had said like, like, no, I'm not changing my mind on this at all, well then we didn't have to keep playing this charade, right? We could have just like been like, okay, well clearly like we have different values, and that's okay, and that's cool. Like I'm like, if other people want something, that's fine. I'm never gonna ask someone like to like change what they want for me, because that's very controlling, shitty behavior, right? Like, no, well you should want this because I want this. That's fucked up. But if you don't want something, you should just say it, instead of like promising something that you don't want.
I think like also when you're in a relationship, I think even in the best relationships, you're always going to lose a little part of yourself, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like no matter what, right? So good relationships are all about like, creating that like weighing, I guess, like are you getting something really great in return for losing that part?
100%.
It's like that, yeah, right? It's like that way. And so I wonder if like he just thought like, he was losing, he was unhappy about the monogamy, but the benefits of having you as his partner were probably so great, and that probably really hit him after the breakup.
Well, yeah, I think it was definitely that, because like he had previously been like in a like abusive relationship with someone pretty shitty, and like I try not to abuse my partners, the bare minimum.
That's good.
Right? And so I think for him it was like, oh cool, like there's someone who doesn't, I don't care that much about physical appearances. Like I always want people to look their best, right? But like your current is not as important, right? As long as you're meeting like a certain threshold or whatever, it doesn't really matter to me. Especially if you're willing to like improve, right? So like a good example is like skincare, right? If you get acne despite doing great skincare, I don't care as much, or it's not as important. What's more important is like you're not willing to even try. Like you haven't even tried, and you're giving up.
And you found that like idea of just never trying, like that lack of ambition just seemed like very unattractive to you.
It just, I mean, I think it is for like almost everyone. Yeah. Like you want, like I want to look like I'm like 30 when I'm like 70, okay? I want to like take care of my skin as best as I can. I mean, have you seen J-Lo? She's like 50 and she's got like a 6-pack. I want to look like that when I'm 50. I want to have a 6-pack. Right. So like I want to put in that work, and I want someone else who wants to put in that work, right? Like, because that's cool. That sounds cool. Your current is not as important as like your willingness to try, I guess. And that was kind of something that I didn't like. So
Do you think he watches your streams now? Because it's like really
I think
awkward to
so.
break up when you're a streamer, because then you're like a public figure, so the person still
Yeah.
that's been like one of my anxieties, because usually when you're like a normal person, you break up and you can like block them everywhere if you do, like, or whatever, but
True.
like you can move on totally, and they don't
Yeah.
really have access to your image as much. But when you're a streamer, it's like they can just tune into like your live streams to judge everything you say and all of that stuff, and like that really like freaks me out. So I wonder like if it scares you too.
Like, I think about it, but I don't really like bring myself to care, because like I don't think that he does. Because I stopped streaming like for like a year after we had broken up, and I assumed that probably he maybe thought that like I stopped, and I don't think that he's bothered.
So you
like,
might not even know, right?
yeah, he might not even know that I started back up. And if he does and he watches it, it's just like, I mean, it doesn't really bother me at all. Like, I've thought about like, so I'm of the belief that like, if you chose to date someone and they didn't do anything like awful to you when you guys dated, like abused you in any way, I think you could still be friends with that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, all of the problems I had with him were relationship problems. Like, these are things that you can't fix.
You didn't think he was like a bad person or anything?
No, of course not. They're not at all. And so like, I still want to be friends with him, but like, I know that he did not take his like last breakup well. And I know that he doesn't take breakups well. So, and I know that he doesn't want contact. So I have, elected to not contact him or whatever. But even though we have like mutual friends and stuff, and like from my understanding, he hasn't even really spoken to our mutual friends at all, which is kind of lame, because I still think that he would be a really cool friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't really mind if he was watching my stream and we were still friends, but the bigger problem is just like I don't think that he wants to. So
yeah, it sounds like really tough, but the way you're talking about it, it's like you sound like really, really mature. Especially like, aren't you like, how old are you now?
I'm 24.
Yeah, so you're like really young.
Sorry, my alarm is going off. Yeah. Wait, have you shared your age?
Yeah, I'm 30 years old. So I'm supposed to be 6 years old, like more wise than you, and that's just not true.
You have such an adorable voice. Oh my god. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm sure you get that a lot already, but I was not expecting that.
People literally think I'm like, in person, like I look like a child. Like people think that I'm like 12 or 13. I'm like, I'm fucking 30.
Mm-hmm.
And most people who are 30, they want to look like 20, right? But like,
yeah.
But I literally look like I'm a teenager. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, honestly, like I want to look like I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how to say this, but I feel like being 40 is like, that's like peak. I know this is like, not everyone agrees, but like at 40, like, you know what you want out of life. You can be very certain in like what you think and what you believe. You've had a lot of life experiences, hopefully. And I feel like if you work out, keep yourself in shape and stuff, you can look really good at 40. Like, I feel like 40 is like such a good age to be at. Mm-hmm. And so like, I never understand when people are like, oh, I want to look like I'm like 20, or like I want to live like I'm 20. It's like 20s fucking suck, dude. What are you talking about?
Oh my god, someone in my chat said that I'm a I don't even know if I want to say that verbally. It's really I might get canceled. Yeah, your chatters can look at that if they want to chat. Yeah, like, I don't know, it's super weird. And there's such a stress. Like, I think my whole life I was kind of raised by society to think my entire worth as a woman was dependent on how I looked. So aging is just naturally terrifying, right? Because you just can feel like your worth is just going to slowly be going down and down and down. And as much as like feminists want to tell you otherwise and stuff, we still live in like such a sexist world, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's really, really scary. So I decided I've stopped counting my birthdays now. Like, you know, like I'll be 31 this year, and it's technically just 30. It's just, I'm just staying there, you know, not moving.
True. You can say whatever you want to say on, okay? I'm gonna, honestly, I think it's, okay, this is a small call out post technically, but I've realized there are so many people like Zan. You know who Xander Hall is?
Yeah.
There are so many people like Zan, and Zan is like this huge like MILF dude. Like, he just fucking, that's like he sees like the big
likes
milfers. Yes, like like not exclusively. I need to calm down, but like that's like his niche preference or whatever the fuck, right? And like seeing people like bouncing off of that, because like he played the Resident Evil games and he was like really hype about the big vampire lady, and seeing the amount of people who saw the vampire lady and were like, I need her to step on me. That honestly gave me so much like hopium for like society, because like the vampire lady isn't like conventionally attractive, right? She's not like small and like cute. She's not like young. And like the face model that they picked for her, she looks very like human. Obviously the meme here is that she's a vampire or whatever, but like she doesn't look like airbrushed to the next dimension. I don't know if you've like looked at her character model at all. And she doesn't like thin, like, and it seems like there's a lot of people who can appreciate these qualities and aren't like the only like it feels like we are moving a little bit past like the like, okay, women need to look like they're 17 all the time because perfect, you know? It feels like we're moving into people who like actually like see women and are like, whoa, a woman, that's so hot, which is really cool, and it's given me a lot of like hopium.
I'm just like, I'm really fucked up. Like I've internalized, like I've absorbed so much internalized like misogyny over the years, and it's like that, I don't know, it's been really freeing for me. Like I decided to use an avatar for safety reasons, because like there are a bunch of like Nazis in the Discord world that were like targeting me, and it's a whole story, but it's honestly just been really, really freeing, because I can just, I don't know, like I'm not always concerned about my appearance. Like I do this thing in real life where I'm like always like touching my hair, and I'm always making sure my hair is right. And when I'm on like a webcam call with my friends, I'm always like looking at myself instead of looking at everyone else. And I'm like so vain and like absorbed in my appearance, and it's like a terrible quality. It's always been like my worst quality. But so this whole thing has just been so freeing to like not be worried about my appearance and get, you know, to focus on what's inside, as corny as that sounds.
No, I completely nice. I was actually gonna say, when you started doing VTubing and you started streaming, I remember being like, oh fuck, wait, that's sick as fuck. Why didn't I think to do that? Because like no matter who, attractive person on Twitch, on a bad day, they're gonna look tough. They're gonna look a little rough, okay? And if someone like anyone, even the best looking people can look really bad at the wrong angles, on the wrong days. They haven't done their hair or makeup perfectly that day. And it's very stressful. Like I try not to like think about it too much, and I try to like just like it's okay if I don't look perfect today. I'm just gonna get on and stream, and that's what matters. And there are like a lot of things that get to you. Like I've always been like very like jealous, I guess, of like men who kind of give up on how they look. Like they just don't give a fuck. They're just like whatever. And like I'm not talking about men who are just like very, very conventionally attractive, like 9 out of 10s or whatever, who just have like the Chad jawline. I'm talking about dudes who like they could probably do stuff to like improve how they look or stuff, but they just have given up on caring about it. And I'm like,
don't care.
Dude,
it's just not a priority.
It's just not. Yeah, exactly. And I've always been like a little bit jealous of that, because it's like, dude, that's freaking sick. But I think one of the most important things has been like enjoying the things that I'm happy about with how I look. So like when I was growing up, I got bullied like a lot, and I was not very like cute or whatever. So when I was growing up, I had like a lot of things that I was very self-conscious about. And obviously everyone is self-conscious as a teenager. It's just natural. And so I like currently, I don't remember when, but I think it's like around the time when I entered college, I think I decided like I was going to be happy with how I looked, and I was going to look in the mirror and I was going to be happy with it. Even if I didn't feel good, I was going to force myself to feel good about how I looked. And obviously I like still take care of myself and like shower and do skincare or whatever. And it's because like the thing is, it's crazy how many things you notice about yourself that other people don't notice about you. So like there are some things that are like probably noticeable. Like I'm brown, so like I grow a lot of body hair just naturally, and like that stuff people notice, right? I have gone through efforts to get most of it, keyword, lasered off, because it's just it's literally a hassle in life. It is. But there are other things that like people don't notice. So like for like the longest time, I think this is probably just mostly because I was growing up and some of my body parts grew faster than other ones. So like I had like really big ears growing up, and they were like a very big thing that I was very self-conscious about. And like I think that they fit my head normally now, but I'm still a little self-conscious about it. But I just bring myself to not care about it because I've literally never gotten a message ever that was like, your ears are a little big. Did you know that, Denims? Did you know that they're a little bit big? So like they don't matter, right? Those things don't matter. And there have been other things as well that have been like, so like I have like a very like brown nose. Like I don't have like the what are they called, like the button noses or whatever.
Yeah.
But like there have been so many like games and movies that have featured like more brown women who don't look like with like they don't have like conventional like Western or like European like facial standards or whatever. And it's been like so amazing seeing people like see women like this and be like, whoa, this is great. And like Twitter threads that are like, hey, like, you know, you can have whatever nose you have, like bring these noses back into fashion or whatever. And that has been like one of the biggest things, like remembering that A, there are people who find those qualities attractive, and B, the other people don't even care. They just don't. And anyone who does care is a fucking weirdo online who has literally nothing better to do.
Yeah, like it's interesting that you bring up like the racial aspect, right? Because so many people think that like diversity and stuff is all about the color of someone's skin, or like, you know, and a lot of those insecurities are about like the color of their skin. But a lot of it is just like features, or like I think the term that people are using is like featureism. So for example, like my skin is like literally whiter than white people. Like it's actually like it's like fluorescent, like it's like glow, it's like really freaky. But like my features are just very like obviously, like I mean obviously you can't see me, but are just like not like European white, right? Like because of like my eyes or my nose. One of the things that got around when Nazis, some Nazis like doxed one of my photos, and they started spreading around that like I was like flat-faced, which is like a really common thing that Nazis say about Asians, because I'm a quarter Asian. So I used to like, and it was so annoying because I used to be so insecure about like the Asian part of me, especially being surrounded by people that looked so different. And like, I mean, and just even things like glasses, like when you buy glasses at a normal store, they're made for like more European noses, with like, I guess like a higher ridge and stuff. And so when your nose is more flat, like in like the Asian style at the top, and you know, like your glasses are always going to be falling off. It's really fucking annoying. So, there's just like lots of little things like that. Did you ever deal so like how did you get to a point that, you know, I guess like you weren't kind of absorbed with all those insecurities?
Well, I wanted to talk about the nose thing really quickly. Like, it's
yeah.
huge. Like, people don't recognize how much it like gets to you, I guess. I'm not sure how else to explain it, but like my like nose it hooks, right? And so it's like I have like a bump here, and finding glasses that fit comfortably on my face is so hard. It's really hard.
They're made
and like
for European noses. Like they just
exactly. They're not made for other people's noses. And it's very, very frustrating. And it was like obviously like also my head is just big. So finding glasses that actually like are like wide enough was also really something that was really annoying, because again, they're not made for your face. And that like finally finding glasses that actually fit me was the fucking best shit of my life. But I think at a certain point, like it obviously like seeing people that look like me has helped a lot. I remember the first person I saw in a game that looked like me, or like I felt looked like me. It made me so happy. I can't even explain it. Like it was like Josephine from Dragon Age Inquisition. This is like years ago, like almost like 6 or 7 years ago at this point. But I remember when I saw that. Yes, I love all the Dragon Age games. Obviously Origin is the best, but Inquisition is pretty okay too. And when I saw Josephine, I was just like, whoa, that's like me. Yeah. Obviously, like we've seen more characters that probably like at this point I think look more like me than that, but it was really happy to see it in the first place. And I think it's been a mix of like seeing more people like that and seeing the amount of people who like those characters. So like you wouldn't think that would actually matter in your brain, but like when I was growing up, I didn't see anyone who liked my features, right? And that was like very like stressful for me, because it was just like, oh, I need to fix these things, right? I need to get these things done, or like especially
Did
like
you think that
also
you were gonna get your nose done? Was that
yeah, I mean, there was also like, I think people also don't know that like women oftentimes end up having really negative experiences just from like their moms, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know how much your mom like impacted
No,
you,
100%. Yeah, exactly what you're saying. Yep.
but like when I was growing up, my mom was like, "Oh, like it doesn't matter. Like if you decide to, you can always just get like a nose job in the future. You know, like it's very normal." And like to be fair, in like Arab culture, it is. I think like Iran has like one of the highest rates of like
Does it
like
really?
a rhinoplasty or something like that. Like a lot of women get them there. And so like she like kind of like told me like I can do this, and like that plus never seeing anyone who like looked like me or like liked my facial features and stuff like that growing up was like really tough. And then the more time I spent online, which you wouldn't expect, but the more time I spent online seeing people like these things, it was so freeing and it was so great. And I was just like, whoa, people do like these things. Not everyone will, and that's okay.
Yeah, well, your nose looks great. So, I mean,
Aw.
if you choose to do something, it's up to you, but, you know, it looks great. And your whole face works very well naturally together.
Aw, thank
so,
you.
yeah, so don't ever feel pressured unless, like, yeah, unless it's totally your choice. Yeah, don't ever feel pressured.
Well, I think like if I'm at the point right now where I'm finally at a point right now where I'm just very happy with myself. Like I look in the mirror and I actually get happy, you know, and I'm like, oh, I look good today, you know? And it took me a long time to get there. And I think it takes women a long time to get there, probably men too. And now I'm at the point that like, if I ever chose and elected to get one, it's not that I'm getting it because I hate the way I look. It's that I'm getting it because I kind of just want to, you know?
Yeah.
Which I think is very important. You should get something because you want to, not because you feel like you have to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I struggled with bulimia, like, for a really long time. And that's definitely connects to my mom. And Mom, if you're watching this, I know it's not your fault. I know you're trying. But yeah, my parents watch my streams sometimes. So. But just in general, like, what you mentioned that you were raised, I guess, like in a very kind of like religious household. I'm guessing is like a Muslim household?
Yeah.
So could you tell me a bit about like being raised in that kind of environment? And I know that like what type of Muslims were your parents, and how religious were they?
They were pretty like religious. Like they weren't. I don't know how to explain it. They weren't super religious. They're not the most religious people I've seen. I've had friends, Arab friends, who have had more religious parents, or like more religious Muslim parents. So it wasn't like the worst thing in the world. Because like, for example, I've had friends who like, they had to wear the hijab since they were young. So it's like, I think like once they went to middle school, they had to start wearing it.
Yeah.
And like, I've never had to wear it. The only time I've ever had to wear it is if like my mom wanted to go to like our nearby mosque, on like Eid. And if she was like, if we went there, you have to wear it there. And that's the only time. And I think I went to like religious school. I totally forgot, in the summer. I think that when I went to religious school, I had to wear it, but like I never had to, other than that, I didn't have to, but I did still have to do other things. So like my mom didn't let me wear things that were like above my knees, right? And if I wore a dress that was above my knees, I had to wear stockings underneath it. And I wasn't like, I was allowed to wear whatever I wanted on top, other than like a straight up like bra. Like I could wear like a spaghetti strap if I wanted, that was fine. I could wear something that was like showing my stomach, that was fine. My mom never cared about that. But like when it came to like pants, like she didn't really like it if I wanted to wear something shorter than that. And so that was kind of tough. And like also like sleeping over at other people's houses and stuff was like, it took my mom like a lot of time before she was comfortable with me ever like sleeping over at anyone's house. And so that was kind of tough, because I, wanted to go hang out with people, but like religious Muslim people have a very weird relationship, and it makes sense because my parents are immigrants, in these Arab countries, Morocco and Egypt.
Okay.
And from like those countries, it's like literally illegal to like be in a household with like someone of the opposite gender if you're not married. or like if there isn't like an accompanying family member. And like the worry, it's not like an irrational thing, and like some of it is truly religious, but like most of it is because people don't want men to rape the women, and so like they'll just make it illegal because there is like
very similar
a lot
rules
of
in Orthodox Judaism that I was raised
yeah
with.
and it's like a very strong sexual repression there, that like a lot of these rules are put in place to protect women. They're not put in place to be negative. They just accidentally end up being, because they don't realize that like putting these laws in places just makes society more sexually repressed, and that's bad because you don't want people getting married just so that they can have sex. You want people getting married because they want to get married, and so people aren't in like unhappy relationships. And then there's also like there is a very negative atmosphere towards like divorced women, right?
Yeah.
Because like you now know that they've had sex. And obviously like this varies from country to country depending on how religious the area is. Like there are certain countries that like like all the women wear hijabs outside, and there are certain countries like Morocco, you don't have to wear it. Like every time I visited, I've never had to wear a hijab. I can wear whatever I want other than like a shirt and like pants. I have to wear pants, but like other than that, you can wear what you want, right? And do whatever you want. But like my parents obviously brought a lot of this cultural stuff here as well when it doesn't apply, and so that was always like a little bit difficult because.
So were they upset when you like when you moved in with your ex-boyfriend or ex-partner?
Well, I didn't tell them. I just told them I was just moving, because yeah. And then I later told my mom, and she was just like, okay, well, you know, she was very understanding. She was actually more understanding than I was expecting her to be. Because like Christianity, or like more traditional Christianity, not really American Christianity, or like more hardcore, I don't even know what the words would be, like sex before marriage is like wrong, right?
Yeah.
And so, but like my mom was very understanding about it, and she was just like, oh, like it's a different culture or whatever, like you shouldn't do it, but I'm not gonna like hurt you or do anything against you because you did this, you know? And at the end of the day, I know my mom's opinions is like, because she's coming from a different culture, she just wants what's best for me, and she wants to make sure that like I end up happy, right?
Well, it's really mature of you to be able to see it that way as well.
Well, because like I understand, like it's a cultural thing. Like in these other countries, like people men will like what is it called? Not threaten. What's the word I'm looking for? Coerce women, I guess, into having sex with them, and like it's like very detrimental to like their social status, and their lives are like destroyed in their town or city because of this, and so and like a lot of these men only want the sex, and that's the only reason that they started talking with that person, whereas like it's not really the same in America, and like with American culture and like Western culture or whatever, like you date someone because you want to be with that person. You don't date that person because you just want to have sex with them, right? So I know like my mom is like, she just wants to make sure I'm not getting used, and that's what she's worried about. But I you know, I know that I'm not, you know, I know that like it's just a different culture, right?
Yeah, there's like this whole attitude in like Orthodox Judaism of like seeing like women as like cows, and that you don't want to you want to have to buy the cow to get the milk, right? Which is obviously really offensive. But and they're like, why would you give away your why would you give away the milk if they're not buying the cow? Like, yeah, so I'm definitely used to that kind of attitude.
And it's
sorry,
no, go for it.
Has that like affected you like at all, like in terms of you don't have to get as you can get as personal as you like, but has that like affected you in terms of like sex with people or dating and all that? Like, did you ever like absorb any of that kind of insecurity?
Weirdly, no. A lot of these, I think I had like a very strong pushback against it. So like it feels like with parenting, you either like adopt most of what your parents say, or you just push back against almost all of it. And I think I had that response. And like for a long time, I thought I believed in this stuff, but then like I guess when I became like a teenager or whatever, I saw more stuff online of people who were like describing how like sex is fine and it's not that important and it doesn't matter. And so like I was like, when I saw like more of this stuff, I had like a very strong pushback because I was like, wait, like you can want to do this and also want to be in a relationship with someone. Like it's not like a big deal. Plus like also being not straight. So I call myself pan unless I'm talking to like normies. I just call myself bi. Already like feeling attraction to people who I'm not supposed to makes it such that like I am more willing to reject some of the religious premises I was told, right?
Yeah. So let's get into that. So you identify as being pan. Did you kind of always know that you were pansexual, or was it something that like, I guess like over time you learned to describe feelings that you'd had?
I can barely remember it. I think I definitely can recall like memories I had as a middle schooler where I was like, I will never forget, there was this chick that I was really close friends with, and she was dating this guy, and I didn't like the way the dude looked. Like I was not, like middle school me did not think, I thought he had cooties. I didn't like him. Yeah. But like, this is gonna sound very strange, but when they would like make out, I'd be like, why do I feel like this? But I know I don't like how he looks. So what's happening in here? And like, I obviously back then it was that she was making out with someone, and that was what was like hot to me, right? Whereas like now I'm like, it's so obvious. It's like, oh, of course, duh. If I didn't like how he looked, but I was like feeling a certain kind of way, it was that she was hot as fuck in my eyes back then. Obviously, you know, I have to tread with care here. I was a middle schooler attracted to another middle schooler, okay? And so I didn't know it at the time, but like I had like these thoughts. And then like I think when I got into high school, I found out that like, oh, you can be not straight. And I remember I had a friend who was bi, and I was like, I was so confused. I was like, wait, you're like, are you sure? Like, but like, are you sure? Like, don't you supposed to fit in like one of these? And I remember thinking it was like really like weird when I had met her, and I was just like 15 or something. And then like literally a year later, I was like, oh, me too, actually. Yeah, no. You were based and right. And I think it was like those in in high school, I figured it out. And then I think after high school, I dated a chick for 2 years, but that shit didn't like work out because we were both like immature 20-year-olds. So I chalk that entire relationship up to like just both of us being idiots who had never been in a relationship before. So,
have you ever been able to be like, I guess in a more serious relationship with a woman? Because I find that like because I identify as being bisexual, so and I find that it's really hard when you're bisexual for lesbians to take you seriously, right, as like viable partners. And B, it's also like so much of our training in dating is about like hitting on men and attracting men that it's like very hard to even like know like what to do with women. Like I feel like I know what to do with sex part, but like with the like dating part, it's very like it's like very confusing.
So like my experiences have been like pretty, I don't know, like it's very difficult. I've had like a lot of misses, I guess, with women. So like in terms of, I want to answer your question first. In terms of like serious relationships. So when I was in that relationship when I was in college, I took it very seriously. Like it wasn't just like not serious, because it was someone that like I had been friends with for like years before then in high school. And so it was, in my opinion, at the time serious. And I think she took it seriously too. And like that was great and everything. It was just like we had like communication problems that were just like a mess. But after that, it was different because that was like, it wasn't like, it was separate from society almost. I don't know how to explain it. Like it didn't feel like society was dictating that relationship at all. Whereas cool. Like now, because I mean, we were both like really young. So like we didn't, but like now it feels like when I try and like hit on women or I try and like talk to women or something, I feel like I end up running into a lot of bi women that are just straight. I don't know if you've had this problem or
or they're just like they're like heteroflexible.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been like really frustrating, I guess, because it's like, I mean, like I've met people who like, I've come to like accept it because I think it's actually valid. I've come into people who said that like, oh, it like I enjoy doing fun things with like women, but I don't really like I don't think I would date another woman. And in my head, I actually didn't like it the first time I heard it, but then like the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, we could distinguish between being like hetero-romantic and being heterosexual. Like we have these in separate categories for a reason. So I've come to be okay with that, I guess, or like be like, no, that's valid, that's fair. But it feels like a lot of women that are in the bi category are heteroflexible. And so it feels really frustrating because I can't interact, I guess, with them in the same way that I feel like I would interact with like bi women. And I don't even think I've met like one person who was a lesbian, and they didn't really like have any like particular opinions about bi people. They were just like, okay, they're bays. So I know that women have talked about how there is that like stigma from like people, especially like women, or like women with other women, like lesbians to bi women will be like, oh, but like you're not really like bi, or like you're not really like gay. Sorry. I know this is a big thing this is even worse for gay men. So like gay men to bi men, it's like, no, you're not actually, men aren't bi, you know? And I know it's really bad for men. But like, it's very frustrating. I don't know. I would be really curious to hear your experiences.
Yeah. Well, just in general, it's really hard because I tend to take like, I guess, a more like, I'm trying to find the right like politically correct term for this, but the more I can't find it, whatever. The more like submissive role, it like just dating wise, like I've never once approached someone. Like I've always wait for them to approach me, and just in general, more guys approach me than women, right? Yeah, and that just tends to happen. So I end up dating. So I've never had like a really long, like serious relationship with a woman. Just because it's like it's so often more rare. But I don't know, it's like I've also not like come out to my parents about it. I've like hinted at it with my parents a little, but like not like fully come out. And I don't know, like have you come out to your parents?
No. I think that I think I don't really like have a close relationship with my dad, but I think my mom maybe knows, but I don't think that I think that when she thinks, so I think she knows that I'm bi, but I think that she pretends like it means that I'm just straight, and that like I just think women are pretty. Yeah. And I think that she's convinced herself into this. And like, again, like my mom is pretty old, and you know, she, you know, is from a different culture and she's from a different religion. So like I don't hold her to it, and like it's fine. But I don't think I'm ever going to, because I don't see a benefit, and I don't really care, I guess, at this point. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why like at first I didn't want my parents to watch my stream, because I'm like, they're gonna find out so much shit about me. Yeah. But I just kind of like gave that. Like my dad was really insistent. He really wanted. My dad like fucking loves Ben Shapiro. Like so.
Oh no.
So he doesn't agree with him on a lot of things, but he agrees with him on some things. So
yeah.
And my dad, like, I don't know if like your family does this. My dad is like, have you ever seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
No.
There's like a father in that, and he's Greek, and he's very intense about being Greek. And he always has like stories on how everyone's like really Greek, you know, like how like this famous celebrity is actually Greek, or like this person's actually Greek. Yeah. And like my dad's like just like that with Jewish stuff. So he'll like be like, oh, like, did you know that this person's great grandfather's like son's brother like is like actually Jewish, so he's actually Jewish. And so he like obsesses about Ben Shapiro because he's Jewish, and that's like what
that makes sense.
But so my dad actually like knows like these political spaces and stuff. So he was like really intense. Like he was like, I'm gonna find, and he totally did. So it's like, it's alright. My parents aren't actually religious themselves, but they both come from very religious families. So I always had like this anxiety, like I'm gonna embarrass them to their family, you know?
Yeah.
That kind of like attitude, because like you know that like my parents are gonna be seen as like a failure if I come out as being gay or I come out as being bi or something like that. And it breaks my heart, the idea of like them being seen as like this failure to their family, even though they themselves would probably be really chill with it. And have you ever had that kind of that guilt?
Kind of. It's always been so like it's very weird. My I guess sexuality is like very separate from my personal like home life. I'm not sure if I just accepted it, so like it was like a form of like cope for me when I was younger, but I don't remember having an urge to tell my family. And I currently don't have one, and I don't care about it. Like this is my own thing, and my family is its own thing, and these don't need to interlock, and that's fine. And it might just be like literally a coping mechanism that I've become fine with. And it is the most beneficial thing to me, so I don't mind it being a coping mechanism. But I've had this with like revealing clothes before, where like, I mean, like swerfs are like everywhere, like, and I'm not even a swerf, or like, sorry, I'm not even a sex worker, so it doesn't even make sense. But even just having like semi-revealing clothing or whatever is like considered as like, oh, you're a fucking slut or whatever. And so my family, or like my mom, doesn't want me to post like revealing outfits or whatever, or revealing clothes, because she doesn't want me to like embarrass my family, you know?
Yeah.
And she doesn't want her family to see me and then be like, oh, this is like embarrassing or whatever. And that's always been very annoying, because like for me, clothing is just like another form of expression, right? Someone wants to wear something, they want to wear it sometimes. And for me, clothing is like, I don't only want to wear one thing. I like to wear lots of different things, you know? Sometimes I want to wear things that are like really cute, like crop tops, and sometimes I want to wear sweaters, and like I want to be able to wear both without being like judged only for one of them. And so that's always been really annoying.
You're so I guess like, so your parents are, I guess like you would say like semi-religious. I mean, it's all like relative. But they definitely like are anxious, I guess, about like how you dress. It's strange because so like right now, I guess according to Twitch, you would be considered dressing very conservatively, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Like right now. But in Orthodox Judaism, the fact that you're showing your collarbone, right?
Yeah.
It's like they would say like it's a, you know, very very scandalous woman. So like I've literally been at a wedding where I thought I dressed conservatively and my collarbone was showing. I was like, oh, I covered up all my cleavage and everything. And a man came up to me and he went like, I don't even, it's not really a slur, but it's kind of, I think you could say it on Twitch because it's in Yiddish. But and he was like, shiksa, like that, which is like, it's a term in Jewish culture for like a sexualized non-Jewish woman who tries to like take nice Jewish boys away from their family, you know? And I'm Jewish, but like, so it's like a big insult to a Jewish woman to say that, right? And like just for showing my collarbone, it was like, dude, like I've got problems if like showing your collarbone is that. But yeah, I've totally absorbed some of that stuff because
it's impossible not to.
Yeah, like it's one of the reasons why when I made my anime character, like I covered my collarbone. I was worried about my anime character's modesty. Right?
Yeah,
even
you were worried about the two-dimensional modesty.
Yeah. And people have approached me and they're like, you know, you could make like so much money off of your character on like OnlyFans and stuff. Like if I like got someone to like draw my character, and it's like tempting, but then I still have like that other part of me that it's like, don't be a shiksa. Like,
yep. And this it's like it's in your brain. Like I've thought about like at least like, I think every female on the internet has thought about making an OnlyFans at least once. There's just no way. I refuse to believe that there's a chick who's never thought about it. No,
there's a lot of money in it. A lot of money.
Well, yeah, I think like if you are consistent with it, you can make like way more than you would wage slaving. The problem is like I don't think people recognize how much work it is. You don't just get to like take pictures, like shitty dog shit camera quality pictures and be like, okay, give me thousands of dollars now, right? You have to like post consistent. So like the creators that I've seen that have been like 0.5% or whatever, all I see is their Twitter. And from just their Twitter alone, they constantly have new shoots. Like every month they have like 3 or 4 different like shoots. And those shoots are like straight up like 100 pictures and like 3 videos or something. And I'm like, this is so much work. And like they have like consistent upload schedules. And in OnlyFans you have like, I don't know exactly how it works, but like people can like, I think pay you to DM you or something. And like you like they tip you, and you should talk to these people, and you shouldn't like not talk to them. So like that's also a thing. And people can request special things, so you don't want to like not look at your DMs and stuff. And it's a lot of work to maintain all of these people that like talking to them is your job now. That plus taking pictures. And I don't think people recognize how hard it is to take good nudes. Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of work.
Especially
and you have to come up with creative
thing exciting.
And
like,
yes,
over
and you have to like how many angles can you possibly take before like, and so like that's why they do like different clothes and different shoots and different, like I've seen people who take like the cosplaying stuff and then they make it like lewd and stuff, and there's only so many angles you can do and so many images you can do. And so that's really like it's like a lot of work. And so like, well, I forgot why I talked about this. Anyways, yeah, sex work is like a lot of work. And I think I wanted to say something about like the few times I've thought about it, it's like it immediately like is thrown out of my head, because like it's not that I don't even want to do the work. It's like I don't even want to deal with like any of the family stuff that's associated with that. If I had like a family, I think I'm actually probably like close to 100% sure if I had a very like progressive family, I probably would have made one by now. Like if I had a family who like didn't care at all and they were just like, yeah.
Honestly, I respect so much that you were just honest about that. Like,
well,
I feel
yeah,
like a lot of people wouldn't be honest about that.
Because I know that like I'm not willing to like, I don't think that like it's something that like, I know that there are certain things that my mom can deal with. So like me being in relationships before getting married, I know that she can deal with it, right? And she can find a way to like say like she can like justify it and be like, you know, actually like you can, if you don't, because she understands that like if you get into a marriage before you've like actually gotten to date that person, you don't even know anything about how they're like, right? And so on some level my mom understands like the appeal of like dating and why dating is good, right? And then she can use that to like be like, okay, you might actually, there are some ways where this is positive. But for my mom, like sex work, there's just like, she can't think of a positive for me. So she's like, anyone else can do it, that's fine. I don't want to stop other people, but I don't want you to do it. And then there's also like the family related stuff, right? Like where like she would never want my family, my extended family, to see any of this stuff. And so like, I know that I am like destroying that relationship by doing so. And it's not something I'm willing to do.
Yeah.
Or like I don't want that consequence. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally understand that. It's honestly the same for me. Though I feel like I was trying to explain to my parents like the concept of streaming, and my brother who like he watches a lot of Destiny. So he knows all about like the Twitch world, and he told me, "Oh, well, mom and dad, like she literally goes on and she gets paid by like random men, you know, to like give them her time. So she's literally a whore." Like that's literally what he told.
Your brother said this to your parents?
Yeah, me and my brother don't really get along.
Well, I mean, he likes Destiny Pepe La, so. Oh my god.
But yeah, like, and yeah, he definitely gave my parents like that impression. So I had to show them, and then I was like, oh, like now I've got to like prove to my parents I'm not like a sex worker, right? So, and so then I went to like my YouTube videos. It's like my history videos are all like degen history, because I do like this series where I like teach like the history of something really degenerate. So like I was like, okay, Dad, like here, look at this history video of like you know, the history of cuckoldry. Okay, this is what I'm being paid for. It's different.
Yeah, no. And I think that I want to say two things. When I was trying to explain to my mom like streaming, it was very difficult for her to like it wasn't super difficult, but she was just like, so you just like get on camera? And I was like, yeah, but like I just talk about politics. And I'm like, you know CNN? And she's like, yeah, I know CNN. And I was like, well, it's like that. I just get on and I just do what they do, except I'm hiring myself and I just do this and I watch videos and then I just laugh about stuff and I talk about stuff. And she's like, okay, I mean, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you know, like Joe Biden and stuff. And she's like, oh, okay. Has he had any new policies or anything useful to me? And I'm like, okay, cool. And I think my mom doesn't have any difficulty with it because one of my siblings, she kind of runs this like social media page, and she's kind of been inactive right now, but she runs like a food page, and she just does this, and that was like her job for like years basically. And she's just been like trying to get back into it like recently. And my mom has seen like my sister do this, so she understands that online work is like real work and that you can like live off of it. So it wasn't too hard for her to like understand what I was doing, despite the fact that she doesn't even know what Twitch is. But my mom, I went on vacation for 4 days. I visited Merrick, and she called me and she was like, you didn't stream in like 4 days, and like there was an earthquake and you didn't call me. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Because I stream every day, and she was just like, I was just like, no, I was just visiting a friend. So like my mom will like check to see that I'm streaming, but she doesn't speak English fluently, so she'll just see like what's going on, and then she'll like hop off or whatever. So she understands what I'm doing, but initially she was like, who is like getting on watching people talk? I don't understand. And then now she's seen more like Arab people on Arab shows that she watches, who do streaming and do YouTube, and she's like, oh, you just do what they do. Oh, okay, yeah. But I can understand. My mom was very afraid for a few moments that I was doing sex work. And this is the other point I wanted to make. I think that there's this very strong disconnect. I don't know if disconnect is the right word, but like I am like huge on like respecting sex workers, and sex work is real work. And I like try, whenever I can, I try and explain to people like it's not easy. You don't just get to like take a low quality picture of your boobs and people give you thousands of dollars. It's a lot of work, and you have to deal with all of the stigma. And understanding this and respecting this, but also having to tell my family like I'm not doing this because they'll respect me less. And that's really frustrating because I wish I didn't have to do that. I wish like they just didn't care, you know?
Unfortunately, that's just like the world we live in, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally share your frustration. You sound like you're really close with your mom.
Yeah.
So like, but you mentioned that you're not as close with your dad. Like why is there that disconnect?
Just like never really like
just
did
never
anything with my
happened?
dad. Yeah. My mom and my dad have had a pretty strenuous relationship, and I just never really spoke to my dad that much. And it just, I don't know, he wasn't, I mean, I think this is pretty common for people. You can have like a dad who's just kind of like absent. Like my dad never went to like any of my, what is it called? Like graduations, for example, but I never expected him to. So like, I just always expected like my mom and my sisters to be there, and that was it, you know? And it was just like, it just never, I think at some point when I was really young, I can't remember these memories because I was just too young. I think I wanted him, but then after a certain point, I was like, okay, well, this isn't happening. So like, I can like move on and just accept that. And so like I've never had a reason to ask my dad for any advice or anything like that, if that makes sense. Like every experience I've had, and I think this has to do with me being a woman, growing up with siblings who are female and growing up with a mom who's female. So it felt like any of my problems, I could just ask a woman about them. And this is I think one of the few things that like saved me from internalized misogyny. I had such like a strong relationship with women, and I didn't really have that same relationship with men. And so like, I just love hanging out with other women and talking with other women because I have so many positive memories, whereas I don't really have any like, I just don't have any really strong memories with like men, or until recently I didn't. And so
I wonder if like that's the major difference of why I absorbed more of that internalized misogyny than you did. Because I didn't really have that female figure. Like both my parents were there, but my mom was, we are immigrants, so like my mom had to re-qualify for her medical degrees and all of that stuff. And so she was just always working. Like, I would not see my mom. I would see my mom once a week, like just see her physically. And so I was mostly being raised by my dad. So it's like for me, my whole emotional connection was mostly to my dad. And I've only recently, like in my 20s, started to build a relationship with my mom, which now, thank God, is becoming really amazing. But she, for so long, she was like this very distant, scary figure in my life.
Yeah. And I think that's like one of the big things. Like, if you don't have, and a couple other people I've talked to that have had like really like, I mean, at least one of my friends had just like, she just had a shitty mom. Like, she just had a shitty mom. Her mom was super sexist. Like, she hated other women and she treated her daughter like way worse than she treated her sons.
Yeah.
And like, her mom didn't have female friends. She was like the meme of only having male friends. And that's like really hard when you're in that position to like still move past that. And I feel very lucky that like I felt like any problem I had, I could come to either my mom or my sisters about it. And so like I had a lot of like those important, I think, like bonding moments where I didn't really feel like left out, I guess. Because there's a lot of like a lot, especially during like puberty, there's a lot of things that are happening and your brain is just not working because you're just fucking chock full of hormones. And being able to talk to women and be like, and they reassure you and they're like, trust me, this is like a joke. You're gonna be fine afterwards. This is just your brain on drugs, okay? Was really, it's like, I think it's really valuable having like friends or siblings with other women. It's just like huge. It's just not related, or it's not comparable to like the friendships you can have with men, I think, which I know sounds cringe or whatever. It's just a different type of friendship, right?
Well, yeah, I have a friend, she's trans, and before she came out, when I, like, you know, when she presented as a dude and I thought she was a dude at the time, we were never close, right? And we'd have like a lot of frictions and all of that stuff. And then she kind of went away for a bit. And when she came back and she was out about being trans, and just started her transition and all that stuff. Like, I was like, suddenly like we just bonded like so much more intensely. And I think like there was just this disconnect. Number one, because I mean, she wasn't her real self before. So she already had like a disconnect with tons of people. But like just in general, like women just have a way, like there's like a feeling you get where you just feel like a sense of safety with like another girl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
And I think
that's like very hard to explain.
I think this is an experience that a lot of trans women have. And I think ContraPoints has talked about this as well. Like women look out for other women like a lot. Mm-hmm. If I'm at a party, even if I have like really close male friends, if I had the choice between leaving my drink with like a really close male friend or a really close female friend, I would still leave it with my close female friend. And it's not because I don't trust my male friend. It's because I know that my female friend understands the danger more. And I think that it's like very small things like that make it that like you just feel a lot closer to women because you feel like they can empathize with your struggles. And it doesn't feel constantly like you have to prove that you have these struggles. And I think if you've been in like, well, you have to have been in a room just filled with women, you can just say whatever you want and you don't have to worry about someone in the corner of the room being like, well, not all men or something like that. And you can just be very like honest and you don't feel like you have to justify. So like if you talk to other women, you can feel very comfortable opening up about like sexual trauma, for example. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't feel like you will have someone in the corner of the room that's going to be like, wait, are you sure that happened? Are you sure they didn't just want, like, you don't even have to worry about it. If you talk to women about this, almost always, like 99.99999%, they're just going to be there and they're just going to be like, yeah, I understand, right? Mm. But it feels like when you do that and there's any men in the room, in your brain, you can't help but think that they're being skeptical about it. And that's really like, it like can drive you up the walls to think about. Especially when you're like opening up and you just want to be vulnerable. You don't want to think about how this random dude in the room doesn't actually think you've been assaulted, for example.
Yeah. No, like, it's true. And it's just, I don't know, like, I hope that that kind of stuff goes away. Obviously, I would like to get a sense of safety and kinship with any person, like, regardless of their gender. But yeah, we're all products of our society, and that shit, you absorb a lot of that.
Yeah,
Like, really, really
100%.
intensely. So we're getting, like, towards, like, the end of the interview. There was one question, just kind of further back that I totally forgot to ask you, relating to your relationship that you brought up.
Yeah, sure.
And you just kind of subtly mentioned it, but that, like, his name was on all the utility bills and all of that stuff, even though, like, you were paying your portion, right?
Yeah.
Did you feel, was there, like, I don't know, was there a part of you that felt kind of, like, dependent in that way? Because even though financially you're independent, you still, like, his name is still everywhere, so,
Oh,
you know.
yeah. I felt like super, super dependent. Because like I
And
just,
you'd also moved to be there, right?
yeah, I had moved to be there. So like in my head, I put myself there in that situation, of course. But it was like, it's very frustrating. And this is like a big part of like, it feels awful to be dependent on someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this is why I always like stress like the meme on my stream that like women are just not like at the rates that people think that they're hypergamous, they're not. It feels like shit to be dependent on someone. It does, like someone, especially someone who isn't dependable. And so
Because you feel like you
I
just have
think
no control over your life. It's, like,
after
really
that
scary.
relationship, I think I literally was like, okay, I'm never getting in a relationship where I can't like I don't have more control
Yeah.
over like my own living circumstances, not over the other person, but just over my own living circumstances, because it's just not something I can reasonably deal with, right? I need to be able to do what I need to do when I want to do it, and I can't put myself in positions where I force myself to rely on people, especially unreliable people, right?
Well, for me, like, with university, I was only able to get, like, part-time jobs at the university, and so I was always dependent on people around me,
Yeah.
because I wasn't earning a full-time income. And so the biggest change that streaming's made in my life is, like, I'm now earning a full-time income. It's not, like, amazing or anything, but it's like I'm independent now. Like, I'm not relying
Oh
on
yeah.
anyone. And I wonder, yeah, for you, like, if that's been a really, really special experience.
It's like I can't even describe it. I don't even know how to explain it to people, but like I'm sure actually it's pretty easy to explain to people because of how many people I know have to wage slave in society today. But like I mean like streamers, unless streamers have like more than like 1,000 or 2,000 viewers, you're not like making a lot. Like I make like probably still pretty close to like minimum wage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like sorry, not the 7.25 minimum wage. I'm talking about like the new, would it be actually? I
Yeah,
think I make
that's
closer to
our.
like, yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to think of what my the last time I calculated this. I think it's like I make something closer to like 10 an hour or something. So like
Mm,
I can probably find like a job that maybe would pay better, but not like I would have to give up so much for that. Plus, I'm still in school, so like I don't want to do that. Like I don't make like a fuck ton of money, but at least it's enough that I can like pay my rent, I can pay all my bills, I can pay for all of my necessities, and I can like treat myself a couple times a month to like some nice, maybe like some nice food or some like really nice sushi, and I don't have to like worry. Like I don't have like a strong amount of like financial fear like I
yeah.
used to, and like it's just like it's just it feels so good to be able to just get things you need and not have to worry about it and not
I
have to worry that someone else has to give it to you.
I can eat 3 meals a day now. I
I
used to eat 2
know.
meals a day because it's like, because I was like, that's just like eating 3 meals a day just seemed like extravagant. Like,
Mhm.
that's really ridiculous. You don't need that. You can manage on 2 meals a day, right?
Yeah.
And now I can eat 3. It's like, it's been such a nice experience. Like, just to be able to be, yeah, and just being independent is like the coolest thing. And I mean, it's not like the most reliable thing because obviously, you know,
Oh
like, you
yeah.
have to fight for subs like constantly every month, as your gift subs kind of get killed every month, right? And
Yeah.
I'm slowly learning that grind. But do you have any words of wisdom for me as like a newer streamer?
It's
'Cause
so
I want to
weird
steal
thinking
all your
about
ideas.
my ideas. Okay, these are like I'm gonna give you like the thing that I tell everyone with
Yeah.
regard to like the streaming deeds, which is like I think you already have one, but like consistent schedules are just it's not even like a question. Like if you
Yeah.
can consistently stream, and I'm a little bit guilty sometimes, like I will skip days because I just don't feel well. Um if either mentally or like my voice hurts or something. But like if you have like consistent streams, it's just it helps so much. And also I would say that like I don't personally do it. I know other people do it. I feel very weird, I guess, asking for subs. I don't know how to do it. I try and like just improve my content, and you seem to be very good at this. Your content is like really nice and it's very crisp.
Oh, thank
But
you.
like, and instead of thinking of, and I see some people do this, and it's very frustrating. I instead of thinking about like, okay, well, like how do I like get a more stable income? Instead, you can think of other things like, okay, like what's wrong with my stream? Like if I was to watch my stream right now, what could I improve? And so like these are big reasons why like I got these like lights and I got like this like next to my room and this camera and stuff. It's
Yeah.
because like your ability to like grow and improve and be able to afford more luxuries, maybe a fourth meal a day,
Yeah. How
has
don't be
everything to
ridiculous.
do
It's crazy.
has everything to do with like the quality of the content. And like the easy things to fix are like your setup, right? The harder things to fix are like the content of your stream. And I think the most important one is like you have to know, and this is a big one. A lot of people, I think, hit this when they hit the like 100 viewer mark, which you're not at, but knowing why people want to come to your stream. There's a reason. If you have more than like 5 viewers, there's a reason people want to come.
Yeah.
You just need to figure out what it is, and you need to do more of that and less of the stuff that people don't like, because the chances are A, you're biased. When you look at your stream, it's going to be harder for you to figure out the things. B, if you're not really like a huge Twitch watcher, so like me, I'm not very good at watching Twitch. I prefer like YouTube videos. It's very hard for me to figure out what the appeal is. So like I have to go based on other people's comments and stuff, and I have to try my best to like understand what it is that I could be doing or like capitalizing on or whatever. I think figuring out the niche that people watch you for, whether it's the VTuber thing, which for you might just be like adding more models or more facial expressions or getting a better rig, right? Or if people watch you for like in-depth content, in-depth like political content, then like you want to do more of those. Like maybe there are like days you do I'm just picking a random thing, like a research stream, and people love those streams. Well, you want to do more of that. But like it feels like focusing on like the numbers never works, or it's never worked for me, and I don't know anyone who it has worked for.
Yeah. No, and getting absorbed in the numbers can like feel really, really toxic.
Especially if the number starts going down. It's really like bad, because you feel like you can be doing the same thing. Oh, this is another one. You can be doing the same thing and suddenly you're doing worse by metrics.
Yeah.
And it actually might be that because you're doing the same thing, it's why you're doing worse. So like as a very like very, very rough example, let's say you got a lot of viewers talking about Palestine, and then like months later you're still talking about Palestine. Like of course you're gonna like not be getting a lot of people, because you're not focusing on like what's current with the news, and figuring out like the topics that your audience wants to watch you talk about. That's really important for politics. So like I think a very good example is like my friend Xander Hall. He makes a lot of YouTube videos, and I know recently, not too like long ago, a couple months ago, he basically was talking about how he was like in a bit of a slump, and he was going to like try and figure out what he was doing wrong, etc.
Yeah.
And I think I actually like thought about it, and I think a lot of people watch him because he feels a lot more like accessible, and he feels like a friend more than like a teacher, I guess. Whereas like I feel like when I watch Vosh's stream, I feel like I'm watching like a very long-winded professor. But when I'm watching Xander Hall, I feel like I'm watching like a friend talk about something. And I think people really like the stuff that he talks about with regard to like I think he's mentioned it before, like drama communities and stuff. And I think that's a very good niche. And I think that whenever he plays into it, which is something he likes doing, he does better. And then whenever he starts going into like research stuff, he doesn't really get as much because the people that have decided to watch him prefer the other stuff. And I think that's the important one, figuring out why exactly. So like, I know my community likes the fact that I don't get too doomer and I don't maul too hard because there's already people getting doomer and mauling. Yeah. And so like you would figure out the same thing for yourself, right?
Yeah. I always tell my viewers, and I think my viewers know this, that I'm like, I'm wholesome as fuck. So, I don't get, like, there's very few times where I'll like rant, and it's why I've kind of moved away from, because I started out, I guess, doing like the debate bro stuff, but it's why I've kind of like moved away from that.
Well, I think it also, if I can just say one thing, I think it also makes the debate bro content more valuable. When you aren't just churning out debates, when you do the debates, everyone kind of wants to tune in and see what's up because you never do that, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah. And honestly, like, I just didn't expect how nice like the community aspect of streaming would be. Like that you get to make friends, you get to know, like, I know you're not supposed to do this, like you're not supposed to have like a parasocial relationship and all that shit, but like I really feel like an emotional attachment to my viewers. Like you get to know their names, and like when I don't see them around the next day, I get sad, and when I see them back, I'm happy. Like and I didn't expect that. Like I always thought streamers were like lying when they were like, oh, I love my viewers, because I thought it's like when Taylor Swift says like, oh, I love my fans, and she's just doing that because it gets her money, right? But I was like, no, like I start to develop like this intense like emotional connection to them, and it's probably not healthy, but it's like, but well, it feels
apparently as long as you don't from my understanding, the research on this is like, as long as you aren't replacing real life interactions with parasocial ones, there is nothing unhealthy about parasocial relationships.
Oh, okay. Well,
so just from the brief stuff I've seen, if you start replacing all of your real relationships with parasocial, maybe take a step back. But it's okay to have parasocial relationships because they're just things that make you happy. Even if you get nothing back in return, they make you happy, and that's enough. As long as you have people outside of that like there is a more mutual relationship, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, I don't want to insult your viewers, right? But I just feel like my community is like the coolest community ever, right? I'm sure every streamer thinks that. Like
yep.
I have like a lot of Israelis in my viewership and a lot of Palestinians, and they are like the smartest, coolest people who are filled with empathy, and they just want to learn about the history of one another and what one another has gone through, and all of that stuff. And like the fact that I could do like this, like participate in this fundraiser for Palestinian children, and my like Israeli viewers were like totally down with it and all of that stuff. Like,
yeah,
God damn it, like why can't you guys be the ones like in the negotiation room, you know? Like solving this. Like we could fucking create world peace here. Like these are like the coolest people ever.
100% same. I'm gonna be honest, the major selling point of my community is just that they're just really funny. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. I straight up think, I'm sorry to everyone else, my community is the funniest community. I refuse to believe anything else, okay? The messages I see here, I never see them anywhere else, okay? They're literally fucking hilarious. But also, I've seen other communities that are like hardcore like lib, or they're hardcore like leftists, and I really like that, like I don't have to pick. I found a bunch of people who also don't really want to pick between like, no, it's the libs who are evil, no, it's the leftists who are evil. It's
You've got
no,
diversity in the chat.
Exactly, we can find some common ground, and like we're all on the same team. We're all on the left. Do we all want to improve healthcare in America? Yes. Do we all want to improve wages in America? Yes. Do we want to make better unions in America? Yes. Like, do we think that like racial inequality is bad? Yes. Okay, cool. We're on the same page. We want the same policies. Why are we fighting about whether or not we think Karl Marx was right? That's fucking stupid. So yeah, the community thing is real. Although I'm sure that there are some people who like don't really care about the community aspect. And I'm sure at a certain level and a certain size, like if you're XQC size, like I don't even think you can remember every single name.
Yeah. Well, like the
You
chat
just
is literally just like a blur, right?
yes, or like the Hassan chat, like there's just no way you can remember every single person in there, or like even like a couple or something. It just moves way too fast.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
true. It's been just like a really rewarding experience. Has there been, I guess the last question that I'll ask you is, has there been any like tough moments for you with streaming that you had to kind of overcome?
Um, I'm not sure. I don't
If you
think
had to
that
think
there's
that
been
hard, I feel like that's a really good sign.
Oh,
Because I could like,
I think
I've been streaming for like a month and a half, and I could think of a billion things. So.
I just so like anything that frustrates me, I like imagine like the state of being of the people who are making me mad. And then like I don't care anymore. And it's very easy for me to like turn that off. So like it's very similar to like the people chalking my achievements up to being a woman or whatever. Like I just think about the person who thinks that. And then I realize I don't care about their opinion because you're an idiot if you unironically think that. Like you don't you have such a small understanding of what it is to be a woman that your opinion is like literally worthless to me. And then it's hard for me to care about it. I think the closest I've gotten to like upsetting experiences has been like friends who I thought I was friends with. And I think I still am, who've done things that kind of like grate me the wrong way. Or they've done like, and it's never been anything major. It's always just been really small things. And it's just like, oh, like, I don't know why you would like do this or something.
Like other
I'm trying
streamers?
to think of, yeah.
You don't need to say their names, but.
Oh, no. I would never do that. But like, I'm trying to think of like an analogy situation, but like, let's say you really don't like potatoes or something, right? And then we're chatting and then I'm like, oh, I love potatoes. And for you, it's like, you already know I don't like them. Why are you talking about this? Right? Like, you know I don't want to talk about this. Why are you bringing it up? And like, it's small stuff like that. So it's more so just like personal relationships than it is like specific to streaming stuff, if that makes sense.
Well, like streamer relationships are super weird.
Yeah.
Like,
and you have to be really careful too.
Yeah, because like obviously if they go south and it goes public, it's like a whole disaster. And then there's also like money involved and public pressure involved. It's like all the things that are like, yeah, it's like a recipe for disaster if it can.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like, I think that's the scariest thing. Because like I think that there's another aspect as well, because in a private relationship, you can be as honest as you want. It's really a lot harder to be worried about like dishonest people in private relationships, right? But in public relationships, like, there's a very good reason for someone not to share stuff with you, right? Like, and I'm not talking about like evil stuff. I'm talking about like, if someone didn't like the fact that you, I don't know, like did your eyebrows, they might not share it with you. Pretend like did your eyebrows as something more serious. Like they didn't like your opinions on the Palestine-Israel conflict or whatever. But if they didn't like the eyebrows thing, they might be a lot less willing to like come and approach you, and like, whereas they might approach someone else unrelated to the matter. And like that, like you are kind of forced to be a little bit dishonest or not share all of your opinions because you don't know how the other person is going to take it. And if the other person takes it negatively, it's very bad. And so like finding people that you can trust, like really trust, I think is like, it can feel very like nerve-wracking, because you know that if they want to, they can like hurt you, and they're not just hurting you, they're also hurting your job, right?
Yeah.
So
I've heard rumors that there are some streamers that like record all their interactions, like even
it's
privately
fucking weird
stuff, right? Because, and in some ways, like I totally understand it, right? Because like just like one thing that someone makes a claim about you saying or something, it can like, it could just totally destroy your career.
100%.
Just from like two friends not getting along, and then boom.
And that's the bigger problem. It's literally the only thing that's happening is that it's two people just not getting along. And instead of like solving it like adults, and this is the biggest thing, you don't know if someone can solve something like an adult. In like real life, if someone doesn't solve something like an adult, you just stop talking to them, right? Every time I've had immature friends who just are too scared to approach me or something, I don't talk to them anymore. Like I don't. I had a friend who apparently I had really stressed her out talking about midterms, and she just never said it for months. And then in like a group chat was like that I'm in, she was like, yeah, you're just a very stressful person to be around. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, you just wouldn't stop talking about midterms. And I was like, we're in the same classes. What? Like, and I it wasn't even the what she was mad about. It was more so that it's like, it's that you just don't want to approach me. Like I'll apologize when people approach me for something, and I'll be like, I'm sorry for doing this. I didn't mean to hurt you. And like, I'll try and be better in the future. But like, if you hold on to that shit and you're like holding it as a grudge until you can call someone out on it later or some shit, that's just weird. And I don't like that, like, people can like, I don't like that how much that might happen with like an online relationship and how much you like lose, because like, and it's not even that, like, let's say you solve it in private or you don't solve it in private, or like you both agree to like just drop it. It doesn't change the fact that you probably will have mutual friends and you're going to stay in the same space. So like, picking someone that I'm like close friends with, like if like me and Zan got in an argument, for example, it would be like, and we were just like, we don't want to be friends anymore, right? That really sucks because we have mutual friends. And so, and we're not allowed to like, we can't stop interacting with each other because it's in like the same workforce. Also, Lana, thank you so much for the raid. Hello, raiders. Hi guys. I'm doing an interview. Once this is over, we will talk to chat again. But go for it.
Hello, Lana raiders. Yeah, like I have social anxiety disorder, which people are always like so shocked by because I'm a streamer, so I like socialize for a living. Same. Yeah, like but it's been like a journey on managing tools on how to handle that, and something that I still haven't managed to deal with is like this fear that everyone's mad at me. So like someone doesn't put like, I literally have like this boundary with my close friends, like, and this is I'm gonna sound like totally weird, that like they need to be putting like emoticons like in messages, because if they don't put an emoticon, or if they don't like double, like if they say hi but not with like two eyes, or with like hi with like an emoticon, I'm gonna think they're upset with me, right? And then I have like this like internal kind of like panic attack about it.
Trust me, I had like this entire panic week where I was like, oh god, everyone hates me. I think it was like 2 months ago or something like that. I was just so freaked out, and I was just like, this person doesn't want to talk to me, and neither does this one and this one. And then like I got like messages, and I was just like it just so happened that like it was like bad timing. Like one of the people, like they didn't respond for like a day, and they were like, oh, I'm sorry, I had the vaccine, I was in bed all day. And then they respond, I'm like, I'm so stupid, I'm getting like nervous about like literally nothing. So like I completely understand. It is
yeah, like I had this interaction with Vosh where I messaged him because I really want to get an interview with ContraPoint. Like it's been like my goal, because like she's one of the people that I used to like watch all the time, and I was like fucking like adored her. And she totally, like, yeah, anyways, I could write about her for like a really long time. So I really want to get an interview with her, but obviously she's huge, so it's like very hard to just get in contact. And I knew that Vosh was friends with her, and I know Vosh, right? So I messaged Vosh asking like, hey, like do you know if this is even like a thing? Can you even set this up? And Vosh is like, hey, like I've got like this policy that I try not to like I'm fine like helping you out myself and stuff, but I try not to like give contacts myself to other people. Like you'll have to probably email her. And I was like, that's totally fine. That's totally like, I totally got why he said that. And that made sense. Especially in his position, he probably gets those messages like a billion times, right?
Well, also if you're like, so maybe his interaction with you was fine, but maybe like he probably doesn't watch every single one of your streams. What if like on one of your streams you were like let's just pretend like the word carrot is like a pejorative term and it's a slur, and you were just like screaming the word carrot.
Yeah.
And he has no idea about this, and then he recommends Contra, and then now Contra is associated with someone who's screaming the slur
and
carrot.
now that's affected his like relationship with her.
His relationship, yeah, exactly.
So like it totally makes sense. And I realized that, and then after I was like, oh my god, I just committed such a faux pas. Like this is probably something I should have known. Like you're not supposed to be asking streamers to help you with other streamers or something like that.
I think,
and then I like totally absorbed this, and I was like, oh, he fucking hates me now, like hates my guts. Like he probably put me on like a list, like, and like I just like took it to like this like total like extreme, and So, but then like he messages me last night and he's like totally chill and nice and like, okay, I was obviously just being a weirdo. So yeah,
no,
it's all about learning
100%.
tools.
Listen, 1000%. I have like, I used to have like really bad social anxiety. It's gotten much more manageable, but like I will still have like, I was literally like sad for like, unironically like 2 days straight because like a couple months ago, because I felt like there were like multiple people mad at me. And then it turns out like no one was. And like they were
I can't
all
even
chill
imagine
and
someone
cool.
being mad at you. Like that makes no sense. Because you're like,
So
you're so
sweet, what the
kind and
fuck?
you're smart. Like I just, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get like,
Okay,
why.
well, that's really sweet. Fuck.
For all I know,
yeah,
maybe
I
you're
just,
like hiding all these skeletons in your past, you know?
you got me. I'm hiding.
Yeah.
I'm hiding a secret here. The secret is I just really like making friends, and I like having these relationships with other people despite all of the social anxiety that I have.
Yeah, I feel like at our core, like we're all like just like kids still in like
Oh,
a
yeah.
modern playground. You know, just trying to, you know, make friends and make people like us and also pay our bills.
Yep,
you know?
yep. And talk about adult topics like politics.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, you could
I wanted to say one question before we end the interview.
Sure.
Which was, okay, so I'm kind of curious about this, but you use a VTuber model, right? Do you feel comfortable going to like public places with other like content creators? Like, would you go to conventions and stuff, or would you go like anonymously, or like would you just ask that no one takes any pictures?
I've been debating this, right? Because with some streamers and close friends, like they know what I look like, and you know, we go on webcam and we show her and they show pictures and stuff, but and I have to like really trust them. The biggest concern is just keeping that out of like the public sphere, but I have decided that I do want to meet up with streamers and I want to like hang out and stuff, and I do want to go to conventions. So I realized like this is like a, you know, eventually I'm gonna come out with like, you know, my appearance. So, and maybe
Cool.
I can do it at like a convention or something like that. One of my friends suggested I just go in like full body paint, like do like one of those naked body paint things, to stay like someone anonymous.
Well, I think
but,
if you wanted to, you could remain anonymous. I don't remember which streamer or YouTuber it was. They would wear like a face mask, which right now, perfect time. And like, you know, they whatever design they want on the face mask, and they would just wear like sunglasses everywhere.
That's
so like
actually a good idea.
So if you're like not sure about it, but you want to hang out with these people, when you hang out with them in private spaces, obviously take off your stuff. It probably doesn't matter. But when you hang out with people like publicly, you can just like do that, right? And everyone, as long as like you're just like telling everyone and you explain it to everyone like, hey, I'm doing this because I want this to remain private. I don't think anyone would really mind. Or like if I had someone, I understand why people want to have their privacy respected, because once your shit is out there, it's out there. But I don't think most people would care. But if you want to do face reveal, do that. But yeah, okay, cool. I was just curious what your plans or ideas were.
Well, you were one of the few streamers that didn't give me shit about it, so I appreciate that. Yeah, like most, I would say like 80% of streamers like all gave me kind of like shit about the VTuber
Like
thing.
backhanded stuff about like the.
Yeah, like some of them were just like jokes or whatever, but I do think that there was like, I joke about cartoon rights, but it's also like kind of serious.
I didn't even like.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain with regard to like the VTube stuff is like, do you remember when Pokey did like a stream with like the VTube rig?
No, I've never watched her actually.
So she commissioned someone to make a rig for her, and it like looks like an anime version of herself. And people got really mad about this. And they were like, you're like, this is like our circle, and you're stealing it, and you're using your popularity to steal our audience that we've grown really hard to build. And you're just doing it because it's like,
like
the next
VTube
fun little
community
cash
is
grab.
upset about it.
Yeah, and like, but like she said, she just likes it because like for women, it's really hard where it feels like you have to wear makeup every single day, and it feels like you have to like, you have to be your best self, or else someone will criticize you. And like it's really nice to just get an escape from that, and like you can just start fucking picking your nose on stream, and it doesn't matter, you know. And honestly, when I saw that stream, I was like, dude, this is base as fuck. Like, I want to get like a rig commission for myself.
Yeah.
because like I think the idea of streaming with a rig is super cool. I just didn't think of it. I mean,
fun, and you
back when
can
I
do all
started,
these
it wasn't
cool
even a thing.
interactions too. Like I have this thing
What?
where I go into like a virtual hot tub, and like my viewers can like bounce my ball and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
It's so sick.
yeah.
No, I
it's a lot
don't.
of fun.
I'm sorry. I think that the VTubing thing is really cool. When I saw you doing it, I was like, why didn't I think of that? That's genius. Like that was the reaction
you.
to that.
No, that's so cool.
Aw.
That actually, that's really nice because I got like so much hate, and I was like, all these fucking leftists are always going on about boundaries and personal safety and stuff. Yet when someone says that I have a boundary with someone seeing my face, like, they wouldn't respect that. And
It's just cringe. It's
Yeah.
just fucking cringe. Well, I think even if you wanted to get a VTuber rig for any reason, it's based. Like, I want one for like the days that I'm just like, I just feel like shit and I look like shit, right? Because there have been days where I've streamed and I'm like, I don't want to stream. I don't like the way that I look. It's like unhappy, but like I'm gonna do it anyways because I don't, like I feel like I have to stream and I don't want to like break my schedule just because like I don't feel like I look perfect.
Yeah.
And so like VTuber rigs are just they're just cool. I remember, we were on a panel together. I think we were on Prime's
Amazon Lily
panel. Yeah, I think that was the first time I saw you. And I was just like, I remember my first reaction to that was, who is this? That was like, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just a VTuber. Oh. And then like you continued to stream and stuff. And because I thought you were just like a temporary person who like you just came on for like a couple minutes or something, or you were just coming on that one show and you don't really stream that much because there are some people who like they only go on panels, but they don't
I
really
wasn't a
stream that
streamer
stuff.
at the time, so
Yeah, okay, so like and then when you had started streaming more and more and you would like got like more details and stuff and like you didn't have a background when you started, I remember. It was just a void. And like I'm really happy with your stream now. It looks so good. Plus it has the added benefit of like you don't have to worry about green screens and shit the way that you do with like if you want your
I just put a virtual green screen behind me, and then that's how I normally stream without a background, like, and then it's easy. So
No,
it's pretty chill.
I love the model, okay? It's fucking poggers, okay? You keep doing it.
Yeah, and like and I was totally projecting. Like when I asked you the question about whether or not you ever had like insecurity about your success being due to your appearance. Like that's totally like an insecurity I've had my whole life. Like, and I've been told that by people hopefully my brother's not watching. But like my brother and a bunch of like people that that I've just gotten things handed to me in life like because of that and that stuff. And it was hard not to like absorb some of that attitude that like my entire worth was dependent on it. And it's been kind of cool that this really amazing change that's happened in my life, like this streaming journey, is something that has zero to do with my appearance. And like that feels like it's like I think it's kind of finally like hit me like I have other good qualities that I can, and I mean for some reason I guess people think I do, and that's been a really, I don't know, it's been a very good experience.
I mean it's like freeing to like remember that you are your own person outside of like other things that people think make you, right?
Yeah, and I'm not so worried about aging anymore because I used to be so terrified about it, and I'm like, no, like I have some other things that are still gonna be with me as I age, Yeah,
1000%. I remember when I was really young, in like this was back when I was in middle school, I used to watch this is such an embarrassing story. I used to watch Achievement Hunter, and the dude who gets really mad about stuff, I think his name was Michael. He married the chick Lindsay. This is my parasocial relationships that I'm allowed to have. And she wasn't like conventionally attractive in the sense that she's like not like size 0. Like she was like size 8 or something, like a normal size for a human adult. And it like I was like, oh, and this was someone that I thought was cool or whatever. And like he had like an opening up about it, or like about something else where he was talking to someone else, and he was like, it was on one of their like tables that they used to have, and he was like, oh, like I would never date someone that was like really hot but was boring as fuck to talk to. I don't give a fuck about that. I just want someone that I can hang out with, have a lot of fun with, and like they're cool to me. Like I like getting someone who's like a supermodel that's boring as fuck is cringe. And like that was like the first time I had ever heard like a dude say this, and it like I was like, whoa, wait, really? And like every single time I talk to like more and more men, this is like a thing. And like I had like a very weird idea. This is partly because I didn't really have a lot of like strong relationships with men growing up, or like just many at all. And so like talking to them, it's like, oh, like your appearance doesn't matter. It's like it matters as much as like you should try and take care of yourself. But like at the end of the day, people care about like you as a person, right? And anyone who doesn't, who the fuck cares? Those are the minority, and those people are like, you don't want to be their friends anyways because they're shallow as fuck, right?
Yeah. Well, I hope that this is the start of I'm gonna put public pressure on you. I hope this is the start of a cool friendship. You've been incredibly kind to me behind the scenes too, and I feel like, yeah, like everyone, a lot of people can be nice like on the camera, like when it's when it's important for them to keep an image, but you've been really nice behind closed doors too. So yeah, your viewers, you guys should all be subbing to her and giving her lots of money. Okay, though I think today your donos are all going to the charity that we're both raising for.
Which is a very good cause, by the way.
Yes, I did. I looked up. There's been like a lot of controversy about like a bunch of Palestinian charities because of some Palestinian charities
Hamas.
can often be the front for Hamas. And I did my fucking research about this one like intensely, and it is legit. Like it has zero connections. It's good. So you guys should all feel really good about donating. And it's just cool to be all united behind like this awesome cause.
Yeah, the same cause. And like honestly, like I don't see it as like one person is like doing more. So like I know Vosh is gonna make like way more money than any of us, right? For sure, because he just has like a big audience. But I don't see it like that. I see it like it's like there's this I wish I could find it. There's this meme, and maybe I'll send it to you after stream, but it's like when a bad artist looks at like a really good artist's work, you like will like feel bad about it, but the people receiving the work are happy. So like if a shitty baker makes an ugly looking cake that still tastes good, and a really nice baker makes like a 3-layered cake that looks, this is what the comic is, and it looks really nice, the person eating the cake doesn't care. They're probably gonna take slices out of both, right? They're probably gonna be like, this cake looks kind of fucked up, but I think it's probably still tasty, and you'll still take it. It's like, oh, well, I want some chocolate and some vanilla, right? And it's the same way. Like, even if we don't make as much, it doesn't matter, because that's still like we're all under the same cause, and the people receiving it don't care if it was your $50 or if it was someone else's $50 that allowed them to be housed and clothed and fed that day, right?
Yeah. No, exactly.
So, yeah.
And the stuff that charity does for children is just amazing. And yeah. I'm so happy. And also, thanks so much for coming on and for doing like this interview and opening up. Like that can be hard to do for some people. So I really, really appreciate it. And for your viewers, for my viewers, if you somehow don't know who DENIMS is, that's like not totally nuts, but I've spammed her link in chat. You should 100% follow her and sub her and send her money. And do you want to like tell my viewers a bit about your stream? Though I have a feeling most of them already know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm DENIMS. I talk about politics. I stream in like the super morning at 6 a.m. PST or PDT. And that's it. And we do like a lot of React content. So like we'll watch like a lot of videos and stuff together about like from like either like
you have really
news
good taste in
networks
videos too. I saw like you were watching
Thank
content too. I was like,
Yes. I like to like, I only watch, I try to watch stuff on stream that I would watch in my own free time. So it just works out perfectly.
Yeah.
Would you like to shout yourself out?
Yeah. I am aristocracy. Make sure to spell my name with an E and not an A. All right. You will not find the good kind of aristocracy that way. And I normally do history content, but I also do these interviews. I do them twice a week, where I interview someone I find really interesting, and get to have a kind of personal conversation with them. And I stream every day around 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern, and I usually stream for a few hours. Thank you so much, like, for coming on. And
thank you for having me.
No problem.
Yeah, okay, well, it was really nice to meet you and chat with you.
Yeah, same.
I hope we get to talk again soon.
Me too. You can DM me whenever you
Okie
need
dokie.
something. Let me know.
All right. Well, have fun.
See ya.
Bye.